We are reconvening from our closed session. We met in closed session on 2 items. On one item, no action was taken. On the other, direction was given to staff. Now we are opening the regular meeting of the Corte Madera Town Council for August the 4th. And we will start with roll call, please.
Councilmember Andrews.
Present.
Councilmember Beckman.
Here.
Councilmember, oh, there we go.
Councilmember Ravazio.
Here.
Vice Mayor Casissa.
Here.
Mayor Thomas.
All right. Councilmember Beckman is with us online. And Councilmember Beckman, we have he will be attending remotely today pursuant to an application of just cause. Councilmember Beckman, what is the circumstance of your just cause for today's video conference participation?
I'm participating remotely due to a contagious illness, which is defined as just cause at Government Code Section 54953.8.3 subsection C2.
Mayor Beckman, do you have anyone else over the age of 18 present at your remote location with you?
No, I do not.
Thank you. We will now proceed with the meeting. Will you all join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, then. Give me just a moment here. We have a lot going on this evening. Okay. So we begin with open time. Any member of the public may address the council concerning any item not on the council's agenda. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Please follow the timer. I don't like to interrupt people. The opportunity will be given to speak on each agenda item as it comes up. Once open time is closed, no other open time comments will be accepted. Do we have anyone who would like to speak?
Good evening, council members, members of the staff. My name is Anita Bach. I live at 200 Marina Vista Avenue on Christmas Tree Hill. My comments will be brief. I am here tonight to advocate for the addition of a minimum of 2 shade trees for Menke Park. As most of you who are very familiar with the park, you'll know that sadly we lost 2 very large shade trees in the northwest corner of the park, which have been replaced by a rather small magnolia tree, which I don't think is necessarily the best choice, but be that as it may, that park, as you know, is a haven for many of us, especially those of us with dogs. We walk back from the big park, for which we are so grateful, and we have to hike back up the hill. So Menke Park is a shady, cool oasis for us to spend a little time. So without those shade trees, the northwest corner of the park is in perpetual sunshine. And I don't think I need to give you any further comments about the need to make things cooler given our warming climate. So I hope that you will give serious consideration to that. It's a relatively small budget item, and we residents would be greatly appreciative if you would consider that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nanette Beers. I live just a block and a half down the street on Willow. I'm wondering how many of you, I wrote to all the council members. I know, Pat, you read it. I know Eli read it. Anybody else? My letter about Menke Park and about the, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. I brought the letter with me, but instead of reading it, I just want to ad lib here that I was so shocked when I saw the bulldozers come in because I've been told that a letter was sent out informing people and asking for feedback and so forth. And I open every letter from the town that I get, but I'm wondering how it was phrased, because if it just said we're doing some renovating of the park to allow for accessibility, so forth and so on, I probably went, oh, that's good, and didn't think about it again. And what has happened to the park, which I think is one of the most beautiful spots in all of Marin, truly. It's just a gem. I've lived here almost 40 years in my house on Willow and have spent countless hours, there, going by it, appreciating it. And now when they started pulling up those trees, I think there were at least 4 that were pulled up, mature trees, and lots of plantings, so that it was like a grove. It was like a garden. And now it's just empty space. It's just air. You have huge swaths of grass and lots of, I think somebody's going to have to interrupt me because I'm not keeping track of time, and it's totally fine to say, okay, your time's up and I'll leave. But all the peach sidewalk and the palms, if I had known that all those trees and all those plantings were going to be torn up, I would have been down here. I would have been like so in your face and so upset and trying to stop that. And I still don't understand why sidewalks couldn't have been somehow placed so that all of that destruction wouldn't have had to happen. I'm here to advocate for more trees, not only more trees, but more plantings, because it is just so barren. I hate looking at it. It just upsets me every time I look at it, because I loved the park as it was so much. You took out so many agapanthus and all the shrubs below those 4 shade trees. It was so beautifully designed. And now this looks so municipal and so characterless and so supportive of the beauty in Piccolo Pavilion, how ornate and Victorian and lovely it is. I don't know what people were thinking when it was designed. Maybe it was for the 12 evenings a year where you have concerts and they wanted lots of grass for people to sit on, but it needs more shade.
Thank you.
Definitely needs more trees.
Thank you. Your time's expired, but thank you for giving your comments. Do we have anyone else in the room who would like to speak on something other than agenda items?
Hi there. My name is Catherine Madison Flannery. I lived at 412 Oakdale for coming up on 30 years now. And now that I'm semi-retired, I'm having a lot more time to walk around our community. Recently, I ventured up Sausalito and wandered across Chapman and reached the crest of the hill and then walked down Corte Madera Avenue to our home. And on that entire walk, there were virtually no sidewalks. And in numerous places, when I was walking down Corte Madera Avenue, I was thinking, what the heck am I doing here? This is dangerous, but I was already there. I then was troubled as I walked through my normal areas and I see that we have put in all of these decorative, widened sidewalks and roundabouts all along Lakeside. And so I really just seemed to me like that's more than we might need, and kind of wonder where we're putting our priorities and expenditures in the community. I'm not happy to see we're evaluating and acting on improving fire safety. But at the neighborhood response group meeting last week, it was pointed out that the major roads will need to be used for both the evacuation of people as well as bringing in needed supplies and equipment. So I would think we could at least get shoulders or something on major roads like Corte Madera Avenue, thinking of that overall improvement in safety for our community in the case of a fire. Thank you for considering these comments.
Thank you. Anyone else? Oh, there we are.
Speak clearly. Okay. My name is Nick Travaris. I live at 315 Willow, and appreciate the opportunity to make a comment here. My comment, and maybe my head's been buried in the sand, which is not unusual, but the post office. I keep hearing that there's going to be renovation, and then I hear it's going to be closed down. I just want to make a suggestion, having been in the shopping center business for 30 years. An ideal location for the post office, if housing goes in where the Macy's store is at the ground floor of the Macy of that building. It's right between both East and West Corte Madera. It's got plenty of parking, no neighbors to complain about the trucks, and it would bring traffic into the mall on a daily basis. So anyway, that's a comment I really want to make. I don't know. I haven't heard anybody tell me what's going on with the post office other than I just heard that it has, what'd you say it had? Mold. Okay, if you want to make comment on what's going on, that would be appreciated, but that's all I want to make comment is about that possibility. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any hands online?
We do. We have two hands raised, one from Roy Wolford and one from David McPherson.
Okay. Go ahead, Roy.
Mayor and council members, good evening. I'm speaking again because Corte Madera faces a tidal flooding threat that is not theoretical, not distant, and not optional to ignore. It is present now, it is worsening, and it affects every resident, every business, and every piece of infrastructure in this town. Over the last several years, we have watched the water rise higher, stay longer, and reach places it never reached before. The science is not in dispute. Land sinking, sea level rising, king tides, storm surge are converging. And Corte Madera, particularly Mariner Cove, Marina Village, the industrial district, and the low-lying commercial corridors is among the most vulnerable communities in Marin County. We already know the solution framework. It is not mysterious. It is not experimental. Communities around the bay have implemented it. Its continuous perimeter berm system integrated with tide gates, pump stations, and short-term deployable defenses. This is standard engineering. It is proven, and it is achievable here. But what is missing is not knowledge, it's governance attention. Right now, Corte Madera has no standing agenda dedicated to tidal flooding mitigation. That means no monthly progress reports, no accountability, no public visibility, and no mechanism for residents to track whether the town is advancing toward a complete perimeter defense. Without an agenda item, this issue disappears into the background. And when it disappears, momentum dies. Adding a standing agenda item is not a heavy lift. It does not commit the town to a specific design or budget. It simply commits the town to talking about the threat openly, regularly, and transparently. And that alone will change the trajectory of public engagement. When residents see topic on every agenda, they will show up, they will ask questions, they will demand progress, and the pressure will ripple toward the town, to Marin County Flood Control, to the state, and to federal agencies. Every level of government is involved in the flood protection, but none of them act unless local government demonstrates sustained urgency. Council members, this is your moment to lead, not react, lead. I respectfully request that you add a permanent meeting agenda item titled Tidal Flooding Mitigation, Status, Progress, and Next Steps. This single action will elevate public awareness, strengthen interagency cooperation, and ensure the Corte Madera moves steadily toward both long-term engineered protection and short-term operational readiness. The water is rising, the threat is growing, and the time to act is now. Thank you. This is Roy Wolford and Arlene Wolford.
One hand raised from David McPherson.
Good evening, Mayor and council members, staff. Listening to the comments tonight, I wanted to remind our citizens that here in the town of Corte Madera, we are quite fortunate to have a bicycle pedestrian advisory committee. And that committee meets 4 times a year or 6 times a year. And the question of sidewalks, sidewalk improvements, sidewalk extensions, sidewalk funding for homeowners has been regularly on the agenda for the last 16 years. And so I would encourage anyone that is becoming more aware of the issue of pedestrian accessibility to go to the website for the town of Corte Madera and click the link for both the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee and Public Works. And then you will see the agenda, and you can certainly bring concerns about pedestrian accessibility to our attention and get it queued up for future works. The other thing I wanted to address is when it comes to Mankey Park, I really want to commend the town, the Corte Madera Community Foundation, Parks and Recreation, and particularly Public Works for the aggressive outreach. My family attended 2 planning sessions and an additional hearing before the town council where issues about the design were debated by the citizens who attended. And while, maybe one person's perfect park is not another person's what they would like, our family thinks that the current improvements, and of course, as the trees become more mature and more shade is given, is absolutely fantastic. And I congratulate everybody that was involved. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We don't have any other hands raised from attendees online. We did receive emailed public comment that was shared with council prior to the start of the meeting, and no additional emailed public comment for open time has come in.
All right. So is there anyone else in the room who would like to speak at open time? So then open time is closed. We'll move on to the consent calendar. The purpose of the consent calendar is to group items together which are routine or have been discussed previously and do not require further discussion. They will be approved by a single motion. Any member of the public may comment on the consent calendar, and town council, town staff, or the public may request removal of an item for discussion. Does anyone have any removals here on Councilmember Beckman, do you have anything that you want to remove from the consent calendar? All right, is there anyone in the room who would like to remove anything? Anyone online?
No requests from attendees online. We
All
also
right,
didn't receive emailed public comment or don't have any hands raised for the consent calendar.
thank you.
I'd like to move
may I-
4A through 4E.
4A.
Uh,
I'll second.
Councilmember Andrews,
Yes.
Councilmember Beckman,
Yes.
Councilmember Ravazio,
Yes,
Vice Mayor Casissa.
Yes.
Mayor Thomas.
yes.
Thank you. The motion carries.
All right. We will begin with public hearings. 5A, consideration and possible introduction of an ordinance repealing and replacing chapters 5.06 of the Corte Madera Municipal Code to end the sale of tobacco and nicotine products by businesses in Corte Madera, repealing chapter 5.07 upon the operative date of the end of sales and making related findings. Just to let you know what we're doing, and also for everyone on the staff here to know, or everyone on the dais to know, our options are to waive further reading and introduce the ordinance as presented, to direct staff to make revisions and return to council, including any direction regarding hardships, extensions, delivery, sales, transition assistance, enforcement, or other implementation ideas or issues. And or 3, do not introduce the ordinance and direct staff not to proceed with further work on a tobacco and nicotine product sales prohibition at this time. And we'll start with a report from our Assistant Town Manager, Rebecca Vaughn.
Thank you, Mayor Thomas and council members. Good evening. Tonight's item is the consideration and possible introduction of an ordinance that would end the sale of tobacco and nicotine products by businesses in Corte Madera. Next slide, please. This is an introduction item only. No final adoption would occur tonight. If introduced, the ordinance would return at a later public meeting for possible adoption and additional public comment. Tonight's presentation, I will briefly cover how we got here, what the draft ordinance would do, the proposed timeline, and the main areas where council may wish to provide direction this evening. Next slide, please. This item follows council's adoption of Ordinance 1059 on April 7th of this year, which added Chapter 5.07 to the Corte Madera Municipal Code. That ordinance established minimum pricing, restricted coupons and discounts, and prohibited the sale of electronic smoking devices, heated smoking systems, and tobacco and nicotine pouches. It became effective on May 7th with enforcement set to begin on September 1st of this year to allow time for retailer education and training. As part of the discussion at that meeting, council also directed staff to return with information about what a broader prohibition on the sale of tobacco and nicotine products would look like. Next slide, please. On June 16th, the town council held a public workshop to receive information, hear public comment, and provide direction to staff regarding a potential future ordinance. No ordinance was introduced or adopted at that meeting, and the purpose of the meeting was to allow council to consider priority policy questions before town staff and town attorney prepared a final ordinance for possible future introduction. The June 16th discussion focused on the implementation timeline, existing licenses, possible hardship and exception options, enforcement, outreach, and transition assistance. Following public comment and council discussion, council directed staff to return with an ordinance for future consideration. The direction received that evening generally favored moving forward with an end of tobacco and nicotine product sales without permanent product or business-specific exceptions, while also recognizing the need for continued retailer notice, communication, and transition support before any final action was taken. The draft ordinance before council tonight was prepared in response to that direction received, and it also draws from the Public Health Law Center's model ordinance for California and examples from other California jurisdictions, including Tiburon, Beverly Hills, and Manhattan Beach. Next slide, please. The draft ordinance, as drafted, would repeal and replace our existing Chapter 5.06 with a new chapter prohibiting the sale of all tobacco and nicotine products by businesses in Corte Madera. A key clarification is that the proposed ordinance is broader than Ordinance 1059. It would apply not only to vapes, heated smoking systems, and pouches, but also to cigarettes, cigars, little cigars, smokeless tobacco, pipe tobacco, and related components, parts, or accessories. Next slide, please. As drafted, this ordinance would prohibit the sale, offer for sale, distribution for commercial purposes, and delivery sale of tobacco and nicotine products from business premises located within Corte Madera or to addresses located within Corte Madera. The ordinance would not prohibit personal possession, purchase, or use by individuals. It would also preserve the ability to sell FDA-authorized tobacco cessation or therapeutic products when sold for that approved purpose. So the focus of the ordinance is commercial sales activity, not personal use or possession. Next slide, please. The draft ordinance includes a defined transition period. If introduced tonight and then adopted at a later meeting, the ordinance would become effective 30 days after the date of that adoption. However, the sales prohibition would not become operative and enforceable until January 1st, 2027, as it's currently written. Existing licensed tobacco retailers would be permitted to continue to sell tobacco and nicotine products through December 31st of this year for the purpose of winding down inventory and preparing for compliance. Next slide, please. As it's currently drafted, no new retailer licenses would be issued for the sale of tobacco and nicotine products after adoption or the effective date as specified in the ordinance. Existing tobacco retailer licenses would expire as of the operative date of the sales prohibition. The draft does not include an attrition model, which would have allowed existing retailers to continue selling until closure, relocation, ownership change, or loss of license eligibility. Council discussion held on June 16th generally favored a defined end date rather than an indefinite phase-out period. The draft ordinance would also keep Chapter 5.07 in place during the transition period, which means the town's existing minimum price requirements, coupon and discount restrictions, and prohibition on electronic smoking devices, heated smoking systems, and pouches would remain available until the broader sales prohibition would become operative. Next slide, please. Delivery sales. The draft ordinance currently includes a delivery sales prohibition. This is intended to avoid a loophole where tobacco and nicotine products could no longer be sold by Corte Madera businesses, but could still be ordered online, by phone, or through an app, or from an out-of-town retailer for delivery to an address in town. This provision would be more difficult to enforce than storefront sales and would likely rely on complaints, notice to known sellers or delivery platforms, and coordination with county or state enforcement partners. If council wishes to narrow, remove, or modify the delivery sales provision, staff recommends providing that direction this evening. Next slide, please. The draft ordinance does not include a hardship extension or permanent product or business-specific exception or attrition model. Staff did not include a hardship extension because council direction generally favored a defined end of sales date while still recognizing the need for notice, communication, and transition assistance. A hardship process would also require additional administrative procedures, including application review, approval standards, possible appeals, and monitoring. Staff conducted outreach by mail, email, and in person. As of agenda publication, staff had not received requested specific transition assistance or identified particular support that would have been helpful, that would be helpful if the ordinance is ultimately adopted. The draft ordinance does authorize the town manager to coordinate business transition assistance for affected retailers, including referrals to small business counseling, merchandising or business conversion assistance, and compliance support as needed or requested by our retailers. If council wishes to include a hardship extension process, staff recommends that council provide that direction this evening so that a revised ordinance can be prepared. Next slide, please. For enforcement, staff recommends following the same general approach used for Ordinance 1059. Routine education, outreach, compliance monitoring, and enforcement are anticipated to be coordinated with County of Marin partners, including Marin County Health and Human Services and the Marin County Sheriff's Office. The draft also preserves the town's discretionary backup enforcement authority if needed. There is no immediate fiscal impact associated with the introduction of the ordinance, and staff is not recommending a separate budget appropriation at this time. The staff report does identify one limited transition assistance option council could consider, which is reimbursement of 1/2 of the state tobacco retailer license fee for 2026-27 license year if the ordinance were to go into effect January 1st, which would be $225 per retailer or up to $1,575 total if requested by all 7 existing retailers. The town council's options tonight are: 1, to waive further reading and introduce the ordinance as presented. 2, direct staff to make revisions and return to council, including any direction regarding hardship extensions, delivery sales, transition assistance, enforcement, or other implementation issues. Or 3, do not introduce the ordinance this evening and direct staff not to proceed with further work at this time. And that concludes the staff presentation, and we are available for any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. I'm going to bring it back to the council for questions.
I just have a couple maybe. On the delivery sales, we can't track those if somebody's ordering online and they're getting delivered someplace in Corte Madera.
I don't believe that is something that we can track. It was included in the Public Health Law Center's model ordinance for California and also in the ordinance adopted by the town of Tiburon, but to the best of my knowledge, they don't have a tracking mechanism for that provision.
Okay, do you know out of curiosity what the enforcement would be if we do find a company that's doing that? They're delivering cigarettes or tobacco products to somebody in Corte Madera. Is there any enforcement we have against that company, even though they may not be in Corte Madera?
That is a good question, and it looks like our
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I just thought of it.
No, that is, and we have been thinking about that, but there was not guidance on how such a provision would be enforced.
right? I mean, one of the ways, if we had knowledge, sorry, Adam Wolf, town manager, but if we had knowledge that there was an actual business that was delivering tobacco products in violation of the ordinance, we do have local enforcement mechanisms within this ordinance that we could pursue. And obviously, that would be one avenue to take. I also, one of the things we're going to try to do during the next several months, if this goes into effect, would be to work with the county and other jurisdictions that have a delivery prohibition, and also potentially any state licensing board that would actually authorize these businesses to provide delivery services, and try to make sure that they are aware of our ordinance and putting in proper protections for the town, not allowing them to deliver going forward.
Okay. Yeah, because I get the monitoring part of it. I just want to make sure that there's some type of enforcement that we can to go after these companies if they start to do that. And then the other question is, does staff feel comfortable with the 12th? I think it's the 12/31 date, correct? Do you feel comfortable with that date for businesses to go through their products? Or am I off on that?
No, the date in the ordinance is December 31st of this year.
Does that give, do you think, businesses sufficient time to run through their?
The feedback that I have heard is that it is not sufficient for that purpose, but that is at the direction of council to go forward with that. That was the direction received at the June 16th workshop. So we started with that as a starting point. But that is something that, and that date has been communicated to our retailers. So that would be up to council if you wished to provide different direction regarding the operative date.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Questions? Okay. I did some hopping around online. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I was just going to add, if I may, there was a public comment or a letter sent from, I think it was the National Association of Tobacco Retailers. At the end of that letter, they do have a suggestion for extending the, I think the effective date of this ordinance to at least the second quarter of 2027. So I just wanted to point that out in terms of feedback we've received. We received that after, of course, this ordinance was sent out in the package, or in the packet. So that's just the latest from that association, at least. And I don't know if there's other specific vendors that you've heard from, but I think that spoke for several of our businesses.
Okay. And then I'm sorry, if we did decide again, potentially to extend it, whatever amount of time, does that mean this ordinance have to be modified and then come back to us at the next, what's the process?
Yeah, it would be a continuation and then an introduction at the next meeting. We'd make that change and then put it in front of the council at the September 1st meeting.
Okay, thanks.
So I was looking around online to try to compare, because I know with wine, there are different, when you go on a website to buy wine, like Utah, you can't ship wine there. But there's a drop down when you put in your address, it tells you whether or not they ship there. And so I don't know, that mechanism, I assume, starts at the state level, but have we heard, I know this is a very new thing, that if you put in a certain zip code and you're in one of the counties or cities that does not allow shipping of cigarettes, can it be stopped at that point, just the way they do with wine? And I don't know if any area's done this yet to know. So
no area has done that as of yet, but that would be a good mechanism for staff to explore.
Okay, thank you. And if we don't have any more questions from our folks up here, I'm going to open it up to public comment. Now, how many people do we have who want to speak tonight on this matter? I know we've received a lot of letters, and so I know there's a lot of support for it. Okay. But I do want to hear briefly what you have to say. So everyone is going to get everyone's going to get 2 minutes. And because we have received a lot of your feedback already, and I see a lot of familiar faces. So the clock is going to start, and we'll have the first person come up and speak.
Good evening, Mayor Thomas and council members. My name is Rhett Crowett. I'm a recent graduate of Redwood High School, and I live on Sonora Way. This is not my first time speaking to you, but as a member of the Youth Advocacy Committee, I have done a lot of work over the past 2 years working towards the complete sales ban that is in front of you today, and I am fully in support of option 1 to ban the sale of all tobacco and nicotine products in the town of Marin. These products are incredibly dangerous, come with deceptive marketing, and carry a lot of side effects that many youth do not see until much later in life when they're addicted and are seeing the effects like cancer, mouth disease, cardiovascular risks, and other unknown health effects. So to keep this short, I'm fully in support of option 1, and I urge the council to move forward with this today because every day that these products are on the street, there's more and more kids getting addicted, and that addiction does not end when they turn 18. It keeps going. Or it doesn't end when they turn 21 and it becomes legal for them to purchase. It keeps going and they become lifelong users. And that is incredibly dangerous. Thank you.
Thank you. Don't be shy.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rostin Pradab, and we are part of the Redwood High School 2P Foundation, the Tobacco Use Prevention Education. And this is part of our team here to talk today.
I'm Casimir Rubel.
I'm Allie Corvey. I'm Lily Kilgore. I'm Ada Healy. And I'm Lauren Ellington. Good evening. As a student in this community, I've noticed kids starting to use tobacco products at younger ages every single year. Nicotine is highly addictive, especially for developing brains, which is concerning for the growing number of youth users. By limiting access to these products, we can protect the next generation before addiction starts. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lauren Ellington, and I'm a rising senior at Redwood High School, and I've lived in Corte Madera my whole life. Being a part of the 2P program, Tobacco Use Prevention Education, for a year, I've seen the impact that these products are having on our youth. Being purposely targeted to people like us with fun colors and put on signs where it's directly low where we can all see them, it's true what these companies are trying to do. They're trying to market to people who can't make the right decisions and can easily get hooked. It's wrong and it shouldn't be part of our community. But since we cannot fix the past, I ask you to hear the harm that these tobacco products are doing to our community and take a part now in stopping any more damage to our community by voting for option 1. Thank you.
As a 2B team, we have no further comments, but we would like to represent the Redwood community in saying that we support option 1.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Thomas and council members. My name is John Ma. I was the 2018 president of the San Francisco Marin Medical Society. I'd really like to commend the students and to Rebecca Vaughn for the excellent analysis and the ordinance before you this evening. This will save lives. You are leading the way nationally. I applaud the council for your courage, for your intelligence, for your vision. And it's really been a goal of the California Medical Association. This effort is supported by the San Francisco Marin Medical Society to end the sales of commercial tobacco products. The goal had been the year 2000. We're 26 years late, but you're going to get us back on the right track. And I do want to highlight that a world without smoked tobacco products is a vision that even the tobacco industry has supported and has articulated. I'll just finish by stating that I think of all the patients that I've cared for at Marin Health over the years, you know, the burden of smoking on healthcare outcomes is enormous in their honor, as well as of Mr. Doug McConnell. I remember when we completed this effort in Tiburon, I had the great opportunity to meet with him at his hospital bed at Marin Health, and he had wanted to be here this evening, but I'm sure he would be delighted with your leadership and your vote this evening for option 1. Thank you.
Once again, my name is Nick Javaris. Thank you for allowing me to speak again, and I'm privileged to follow Dr. Ma, who I know quite well. I want to read a letter from the owner of the shopping center who asked me to read it addressed to Adam and Rebecca. It is my understanding that Town Council meeting 8-4 will consider a new ordinance to restrict the sale of tobacco products within the town. As you know, one of the anchor tenants of the Marketplace Shopping Center is Total Wine. While they do not sell cigarettes, vaping devices, etc., they do have a wonderful cigar humidor built within the premises containing a variety of cigars. In my opinion, this ordinance should not be a one size fits all nicotine matter. Cigars are made from natural ingredients. Smoke is not inhaled by the user, and the use is savored and more oriented to an occasional luxury pursuit rather than a rapid fire daily addiction and inhalation of a cigarette user. Clearly, this is a very nuanced discussion with a very different customer desire and profile, and I feel the town council should make a distinction and allow cigars to continue to be sold. I would appreciate you sharing this email with the council. Thank you. And I want to explain, have my own experience. I did smoke cigars for 3 years. One day it didn't taste good, I just quit. It's not addictive. How could I just quit? And so cigars are absolutely not addictive. They're a leisurely product. And in my opinion, they should be exempted absolutely from this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room?
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Brian Lamb with the California Fuels and Convenience Alliance, and I represent independent gas stations across the state. And I just wanted to say that we share your goal of keeping tobacco away from youth, but let me start with the good news, I guess. Youth tobacco use isn't at all-time low. According to the California Department of Public Health's own survey, only 1% of youth smoke cigarettes, and that's compared to 30% who use cannabis and 23% who use alcohol, according to the California Healthy Kids survey. Now, education and enforcement, not prohibition, are driving these results, and a total ban does not build on these successes. It changes where purchases occur rather than changing demand. Now, adults who continue to seek these products may continue to turn to neighboring communities or, worst case, unlicensed sellers or online sources where there is less accountability, no age verification, and no local oversight. And these small businesses that would be impacted by this ban are local employers, community members, and responsible retailers that follow state and local requirements while creating jobs and contributing to the local community. Now, there's a study that is commonly referenced regarding Beverly Hills and Manhattan Beach's own tobacco bans that state that retailers saw no increase or decrease in non-tobacco sales. And while this is framed as a win, when you take into account that tobacco sales can account for up to 25% of in-store revenue that is generated, no increase in other revenue ultimately results in a substantial loss for these businesses. And as was mentioned earlier, you recently adopted Ordinance 1059, which expanded tobacco regulations in Corte Madera, but hasn't reached its enforcement date. And so the town has not had a chance to evaluate its effectiveness. So what I'm asking is that before you move from regulation to a complete ban, I'm just asking that you measure the efficacy of the tools that are already adopted and focus on better options that don't hurt licensed retailers like education, cessation support, and underage prevention. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for giving the opportunity for me to speak here. A lot of my customers, so I represent Colonial Liquors of Corte Madera. I just want to say that a lot of my customers that do smoke cigarette are above 40 years old. We seldom have kids under 30. I'm 34, and I consider anyone under 30 kids, really. So I don't have any customers that are substantial customers that are smoking cigarettes. One, cigarettes are expensive as is. And second, due to the education that we do provide, everybody is getting to the understanding that cigarettes is bad. So, I'm all for having people smoke cigarettes less. But and as the kids did mention, cigarettes is addictive, right? And there's people who are above 40 that are addicted, and it's a habit that is like old habit, and old habits are hard to kick. And so when the elderly has to go to or anyone above 40 has to go to a different city to get something, we lose business. It's a bothersome activity for them, right? So that's a problem that I do see. But whatever the community decides, I'm happy to go with and abiding that. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chair and members of Town Council. My name is Monty Walia, and I'm owner of Paradise Wine here in Corte Madera. I'm a father of 2 children, and the family is the reason I'm here tonight. When I purchased wine and spirits in 2013, I wasn't just buying a business. I was investing in a future for my family and putting down roots in a community I've always admired and cared about. Over the last 13 years, I've worked hard to build trusted neighborhood business and serve my customers responsibly. As a small business owner, it is difficult to leave my store, my employees, and my customers. Every hour away matters, but I felt I had to be here tonight because this proposal would have a very impact on my business and my family's future. I support preventing youth access to tobacco and nicotine products. As a father, that mattered deeply to me. But as I believe my records demonstrate, and responsible retailers like me can follow the law. In all my years of operating Paradise Wine, I have maintained a perfect compliance record, and I have never sold tobacco nicotine products to anyone under 21, not once. We train our employees, participate, we card, and we scan IDs, verify before every sale. That is why I respectfully ask the council to give Ordinance 1059 time to be implemented and evaluated before moving forward and completing a complete sale ban. The ordinance has not yet had opportunity to work. I respectfully ask you to give the ordinance a chance to work before taking the next step. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chair and members of the Town Council. My name is Sodhi Singh, and I own the Chevron gas station here in Corte Madera. I'm here tonight because this issue is not just about my business. It's about my family and the future I invested in when I chose Corte Madera. In 2023, I purchased this store and took a 25-year loan because I believed this community would support a responsible local business. Today, I'm only 2 years into that commitment. I put my faith, my savings, and my family's future into this investment. I have worked hard to operate responsibly. I've been in this retail for 25 years, and in that time, I never received a violation for selling age-restricted products to a minor, not once. I invest in employee training and age verification technology, and we scan IDs to help ensure these products are only sold to legal age adults. We have already begun the work necessary to comply with Ordinance Number 1059 and are committed to meeting its requirements. That's why I respectfully ask the Council to give Ordinance Number 1059 time to work before moving forward with the complete sales ban. My biggest concern is that this proposal will not just impact tobacco sales. The adult customers who buy those products will simply shop somewhere else. And when they do, they will also buy their gas, drinks, snacks, and other everyday items there as well. Those customers and those purchases were part of the equation when I decided to invest in this business and take 25-year loan. Losing them would be extremely damaging to my store and my family's future. I would welcome the opportunity for any council member to visit my store and meet with me personally. I would like to show you the age verification technology we use, the investments we have made, and the steps we take every day to prevent underage sales. I respectfully ask that you give Ordinance Number 1059 a chance to work before considering a broader ban that would have lasting consequences for responsible businesses like mine. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. I'm Jeremiah Mock at Pixley Avenue. I wanted to point out first that we have to understand that tobacco retailers are the vectors for the tobacco industry, and that's where they place their products and their advertising. And their advertising throughout our community is targeted at children, often at children's eye level. And getting these products off of the shelves also involves denormalizing the presence of the products, which of course you know are deadly and dangerous. We have a rising problem of the normalization of tobacco use among students in the TAM district. As I told you before, in 2016, the prevalence was at 8%, which is far higher than the state average, and has risen in 2025 to 12%. We have not seen prevalence rates like that in California for well over a decade. So we have a rising problem with the use of cigarettes. I personally went to Tam High and to Redwood for the graduations, and there's a proliferation of students smoking openly in front of parents, administrators, and teachers right after graduation, and they're smoking cigars, and they're not just holding them, they're puffing them heavily. That shows that cigar smoking is normalized in this community. Tobacco retailers can get rid of their products through liquidators. Delivery can be controlled because you cannot deliver tobacco products through the U.S. Postal Service, and you notify the major delivery companies like FedEx and UPS that the ordinance is passed here and they cannot deliver. And by law, anybody who ships a tobacco product has to declare that they're shipping that product. So that's a very strong, effective way to keep the products out of our community. Tobacco impacts our environment. We're all concerned about wildfire ignition. CAL FIRE rates cigarettes and tobacco-related products in the top 10 products every year that cause wildfires.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else in the room who would like to speak? Okay, looks like we have one more person coming up.
Good evening. Hi, I'm Pam Granger, co-chair of Tobacco-Free Smoke-Free Marin. I used to work for the American Lung Association, and so I wanted to read into the record a letter that they sent kind of late today. They said, as an organization dedicated to saving lives by improving lung health and preventing lung disease, the American Lung Association Greater Bay Area commends and supports the Corte Madera Town Council's consideration of a policy to end the sale of all tobacco and nicotine products. This forward-thinking action would help reduce access to addictive products, protect young people from nicotine addiction, and create a healthier community for current and future generations. In just a sec, I'll give you some information about cigars. The Lung Association also points out a single large cigar can contain as much tobacco as an entire pack of cigarettes, and goes on to talk about it having the same chemicals, only in larger quantities, as the also deadly cigarettes. One thing that I wanted to say is, sorry, I was looking for a timer, is that I think it's great that merchants here feel that they have sold tobacco products responsibly. The trouble is that they're selling tobacco products. So it's not them. It's what they've chosen to sell. And since 1964, when the first Surgeon General's report linked cigarette use, smoking, with lung disease and heart disease, there's been no question in the industry. Harm reduction is a joke. If you want to do harm reduction, you do away with the bad product and substitute it. You don't keep selling it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Kelsey Fernandez with Marin Health Youth Partnerships. I'm going to try to make this quick, but I just wanted to point out that 9 in 10 adults who smoke daily, so almost every adult that currently is dependent on smoking, started before the age of 18. So they started when they were kids, right? Like, we know that that's when the brain is the most vulnerable to nicotine and it's primed for addiction. We know that that is also when biology drives young people to take risks that an adult might not take. And it's not a mistake that the tobacco and nicotine industries put their marketing towards that audience, because that is 9 out of 10 of their users for life. And you've heard all of the personal stories. I've been here when young people have come up and talked about parents or grandparents that died prematurely because of tobacco and nicotine addiction. And I don't think I know anybody that doesn't have a personal story in their family. So I just really appreciate you taking a stand on this and addressing this issue. At Marin Health Youth Partnerships, we work with schools, we work with community partners, and we try to increase the protective factors and decrease the risk factors around young people so they will delay first use to when their brains can handle it. But I can tell you that society level change is really the thing that's most impactful as opposed to the individual strategies. So not every child is going to get the same education. Not every community member is going to live in a community that doesn't have a lot of storefronts. There's more that I want to say. And also the enforcement, not every business can detect every fake ID. So I appreciate you doing this on a larger level. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone online who would like to speak to this subject?
Yes, we have about 10 hands raised. So
Whoa.
we'll start with Holly Thier.
Okay.
Good evening. Mayor Thomas, Vice Mayor Casissa, Council Members Andrews, Beckman, and Ravasio. I want to thank you so much for taking up this really important issue. I'm very pleased as Mayor of Tiburon that I brought the first in the nation ban on the sale of all tobacco products without exemption. And I'll tell you in 1 minute why I did it. You know, teens in Marin vape at more than double the rate as the statewide average. And, you know, seeing the products, seeing the marketing, that is what attracts youth to the products. And you've heard from the youth that is what attracts them to the products. And in Susan, getting teens addicted. You know, today there's more than 480,000 deaths per year in the U.S. Because of tobacco, and it's the only product that, when used as intended, actually kills people. In addition, by banning tobacco sales, you're also helping to protect the environment. You know, the plastic from the cigarette filters, which most people don't think about, is actually the most littered product in the world and the biggest contributor of single-use plastics polluting bays and the ocean. Tonight, you have an opportunity to make history. You have an opportunity to not only help reduce teen addiction, but also to protect our environment. And I want to thank you for your service. And I want to ask you to please introduce the ordinance as written. Thank you for your time and for your service.
Thank you.
Next, we have Alexander Shen.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Alexander Chen, and I'm a third-year medical student at UCSF and a delegate to the San Francisco Marin Medical Society, which I would like to reiterate has proudly endorsed this visionary effort. We are joined by the California Medical Association, which first called for an end to commercial tobacco product sales in 1984, and by the American Medical Association, which very recently adopted national policy supporting the eventual end of commercial tobacco product sales across the U.S. As a medical student, I have cared for patients whose lives have been permanently changed by tobacco. I've seen patients of all ages struggle to breathe because of COPD, struggle to recover from strokes and heart attacks that tobacco use raise the risk of, and families facing lung cancer diagnoses that could have been prevented. These are not abstract statistics. These are people whose qualities of life have been diminished by a product that, when used as intended, harms nearly every organ system. The question before you is not whether tobacco is dangerous. That has been settled by decades of overwhelming scientific evidence. The question, rather, is whether a community like Corte Madera should continue making one of the leading preventable causes of death readily available for purchase. Corte Madera has an opportunity today to take a leading role in protecting public health, especially among youth like me. I respectively urge you to support this ordinance and help create a healthier future for this community and for the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Parsa Mokhtar. Sorry if I mispronounced that.
Hello, yeah. Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Parsa Mokhtar. I'm also a third-year medical student at UCSF, and I hold a Master of Public Health from UCLA, and I'm also a delegate of the San Francisco Marin Medical Society, which, as you've already heard, supports this ordinance. I also coordinate the student-run clinic that provides free care to people experiencing housing insecurity in San Francisco, and that's where I've seen this problem the most clearly. What we realize as we treat patients, like Alex said, is that almost no one starts smoking as an adult. Nicotine addiction is overwhelmingly established before the age of 21. So the person who bears the consequences of the decision and the person who makes the decision are often separated by decades. And we call it a choice, but it's not really a choice if it's made by a teenager encountering a product that's engineered to them at a very young and naive age. At Shelter Clinic, I meet people 40 years downstream of that moment. And data constantly shows 70% of adults experiencing homelessness use tobacco against about 11% of the general population. That's not a coincidence and it's not a character difference. It just reflects that this industry has always marketed to people who have been living the hardest kind of lives. Tobacco-related illness is among the leading causes of death in this population, and it kills people who are already dying earlier than everyone else. The tools we have on the treatment side are pretty limited. They work, but modestly. Quit attempts fail. And even with good support and a good family system and community system behind people, treatment alone won't end tobacco addiction. It ends upstream with retailer availability, predicting youth initiation, and preventing relapse. It's a modifiable exposure, and it's one of the few levers the city council can actually reach. And we've seen across the state that Marin has some of the best health outcomes in California, but it also has some of the widest gaps within them. And this ordinance would allow us to narrow one of those gaps. And I recognize the care this council has already put into considering it. So I respectfully urge you to support the ordinance as it stands. And I thank you for your time this evening.
Next we have Bridget.
Bridget?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Hi, I'm Bridget Clark, and I just wanted to mention that I grew up on Navajo Lane with my father, who started using cigars at a young age. And unfortunately, he could not kick his habit, even though I tried to help him. And he died at 62 years old. I saw him buying cigars locally when he picked up the local paper. It was difficult for me dealing with a secondhand smoke. That's something that I don't think people are necessarily thinking about. And I had to endure that. And it bothered me enough that I would try to hide and break his cigars whenever I could. But he could not kick the habit. I just want to make that clear. It is addictive. I've seen it. And I appreciate the students who are speaking tonight, who are being educated clearly, but the industry is very strong and they're pushing products to make it seem cool, just like it was for my father growing up in the war. It was popular then. They're just have changed products to make vaping cool now. So please, would you look to protect our children and our environment, because yes, these products often have plastics and things that I see on the ground all the time as a cyclist and pedestrian on our paths. And I would appreciate you banning all tobacco products and supporting this ordinance as written. So thank you very much. I appreciate your service.
Next we have Ashley.
Good evening. My name is Ashley Boston. I serve as the Bay Area and Central Coast Chapter Chair for the California Fuels and Convenience Alliance, but I'm also here as someone who works for a convenience store, gas station retailer, and has firsthand seen the impact that policies like this have on local businesses and their employees. I do understand the attempt behind the proposal, and I think that we all share the same goal keeping tobacco and nicotine products out of the hands of kids, obviously. Responsible retailers share that goal. We train our employees, we verify IDs, we watch for third-party purchases, and we follow strict compliance standards because we do take that responsibility seriously. We are partners in preventing youth access. But tonight, I ask you to consider whether this proposal will actually accomplish its goal. A local sales ban doesn't stop adults from purchasing tobacco or nicotine products. At the end of the day, this ordinance doesn't remove tobacco from Corte Madera. It removes this legal sales, the local tax revenue, and the economic activity, while those purchases simply move down the road. What won't move, unfortunately, are the consequences. And those consequences are felt by the 7 retailers that have invested in Corte Madera, created local jobs, paid taxes, and operated responsibly under increasingly strict regulations. These businesses have done exactly what's been asked of them, yet they're the ones who will, bear the burden of this decision. So I respectfully ask that before you move forward with this a sales ban, that we pause and take the time to work with responsible retailers who have demonstrated a commitment to compliance and preventing youth access. I want everyone to remember we all want to protect young people. So let's make sure that we're pursuing solutions that actually achieve that goal without unnecessarily harming responsible local businesses. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have someone that it just says Zoom user. Okay.
Good evening, council members. My name is Natalia, and today I'm here to speak in support of adopting a ban on tobacco sales in our community. I started smoking when I was just 15 years old. Even though I was underage, buying tobacco products was far easier than it should have been. Despite strict regulations, I was sold tobacco without anyone asking for my ID. It wasn't just a one-time mistake. It happened more than once. That easy access made me believe these products weren't as dangerous as everyone said they were. At 15, I wasn't thinking about addiction or the long-term effects on my health. Like many teens, I believed I could quit whenever I wanted, but nicotine is incredibly addictive. By the time I was 21, I was heavily addicted and was experiencing respiratory issues. What started as a habit in my teenage years had turned into a serious health problem that affected my daily life. Looking back, I often wonder how different things could have been if these products hadn't been so easy for me to access. That's why I support a ban on tobacco sales. I believe taking these products off store shelves will help reduce youth exposure and make it harder for young people to start using them in the first place. While no single policy will eliminate tobacco use entirely, reducing access and visibility can make a meaningful difference in preventing the next generation from becoming addicted. Today's decision isn't just about tobacco. It's about protecting our youth, improving public health, and creating a healthier future for everyone. I hope you'll support this effort and help ensure fewer young people experience what I did. Thank you.
Next, we have David McPherson.
Good evening again. Despite never smoking and being a proud progressive, I really come down on this issue. I'm opposed to the ordinance because I really don't think local government should be in the business of prohibiting legal products. Also, I don't imagine that the town council or somebody on staff has talked to the local businesses and actually determined what their profit is on these tobacco products. These small businesses operate on very small margins. And so when this ordinance goes into effect, which I believe it's a fait accompli, you're dipping into Colonial or Paradise and Chevron Station. You're pulling 10 grand out of their pocket, maybe 15 grand of profit at the end of the year. And for these small businesses, that's not a small thing. So the only thing I would say, because I'm pretty sure this is going to pass, is at least consider giving these small businesses the opportunity to show you their tobacco sales, to show you their net profit, and perhaps come up with some way of reducing our local, I think it's just under 1% sales tax for these small businesses to help compensate them for the loss of revenue that's going to be real. I mean, it's going to truly affect whether they can hire new employees, they can do improvements to their store, et cetera, et cetera. So keep them in mind while, they're the ones that are going to pay the financial price. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we have one last hand raised from Eleni. Hopefully I said that right. Oh, and then another hand just went up from Bob Curry. Eleni put her hand down, so we're gonna go with Bob Curry.
Hey, good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Bob Curry, co-chair of the Smoke-Free Marin Coalition, and I have worked for over 3 decades in tobacco prevention. You have all heard and studied the facts related to this deadly product that the tobacco industry has intentionally marketed to many generations to increase their bottom line. My main concern is for the protection of our youth who are being aggressively marketed with new tobacco products and especially the new nicotine products. The industry has no intention of changing their strategy and will do whatever it takes to addict new users. Corte Madera has an excellent record of protecting the health of all residents. I ask you to adopt this strong ordinance to stop new addictions to tobacco and nicotine by ending the sales of these products. Our youth and health advocates have made their case, and the industry has no intention of stopping this #1 preventable cause of death and disease. They care about the billions of dollars they are making. Your action tonight to end the sales is the right decision for the health of your residents, especially our youth. I ask you to please go with option 1. And as we get closer to December, if you think that you need to extend the date for enforcement, then you could do that. But hopefully that won't be necessary. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you to your staff and to the county support team. You are all appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, next, Eleni Nagusi. Okay. Go ahead. Eleni, you're unmuted. You should be able to begin your comment.
Me? Oh, I'm so sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. My name is Eleni Nagusi, and I work for the Marin County Tobacco and Nicotine Prevention Program. I'm going to be very brief, but I wanted to highlight that in Marin County, youth tobacco and nicotine use remains a significant concern, as Dr. Mock shared. Marin is an outlier. While many assume youth tobacco use is low, local data shows that Marin youth use of tobacco and nicotine products exceeds the California average. I just wanted to reiterate that. The other thing I wanted to share was that our team at the county is going to continue working with your staff and the Public Health Law Center regarding regulatory tracking and enforcement compliance approaches that are related to online tobacco sales. And we're going to make sure that we share those recommendations and tools with your staff. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And we have one last hand raised from Bob Ravazio.
Hi, Bob Ravazio, Corte Madera, former town council member. Very briefly, to the town council, you have a chance to be heroes tonight. This is a chance to make a real difference in the health and the future of this community. You have a chance to be a leader tonight in this important issue for the entire county. And you have a chance to fulfill the wishes of the youth of this community. They're the ones who started this whole thing. So please, please pass this ordinance tonight. Thank you.
Another hand went up from Barbara Solomon.
Yeah, hi. I sent a very late
email to you. I don't think you got it in time, but I'm going to read it now. Dear Corte Madera Town Council, I support the proposed adoption of the tobacco and nicotine sales ordinance. As a deputy city attorney for the San Francisco City Attorney's Office, I worked on many tobacco control issues, including legislation to ban self-service sales of tobacco products, cigarette vending machines, tobacco licensing laws, and a ban on the advertising of tobacco products within close distance of schools, recreation centers, churches, and daycare centers. I also helped implement the controversial state law banning smoking in bars and restaurants. When I first moved to Corte Madera in May 1993, I was shocked to see that most Corte Madera Town Council members were smokers and opposed any local tobacco control legislation. Local restaurants still had cigarette vending machines in their lobbies. Smoking and tobacco use is the #1 preventable cause of illness and death. I attended the council meeting where the TAM High students and the UC Berkeley professor proposed this legislation. Tobacco companies will continue to come up with new ways to hook young people to a lifelong addiction. The town has come a long way since 1993. The council and staff have done their homework and outreach. I urge the council to adopt the proposed ordinance. Thank you.
Okay, that was our last hand raised from attendees online. We did receive 38 comments that were uploaded to the website and shared with council earlier prior to the start of this meeting.
All right, thank
No
you.
other comments have come in.
Thank you very much. So with that, we are going to close public comment and bring it back to the council for comments. I see Mr. Beckman's hand is raised. Please speak up.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have a true epidemic of nicotine addiction among youth across this country. I was recently on vacation in New York, and I was watching kids on the subway who were clearly not old enough to be buying tobacco products, who were so heavily addicted that they could not resist lifting their vapes to their mouths for more than 60 seconds. And we see it right here in Corte Madera, too, in the toxic scented clouds that waft up behind groups of local teens. And we see it in the massive amounts of litter around town generated by nicotine products, cigarette butts, empty vapes, nicotine pouches, and more. And reasonable minds can debate where the correct balance between public health regulations and personal choice lies. But when the kids and teens of our community stand up to tell us that they are worried about how the tobacco industry is preying on their generation, and when they tell us that they are genuinely scared for their friends, I believe that we as leaders have an obligation to listen and respond. And that is exactly what we are doing here. I really want to thank all of the advocates who have spoken out on this issue, especially the students who made the admirable decision to stand up and speak out on behalf of their friends. And I also want to thank the medical professionals who spoke up, who are on the front lines of nicotine addiction. I really appreciate the local business owners and their representatives who took the time to participate in this discussion. And I want to say to them, your voices are deeply important to us as part of the Corte Madera business community, right? You're part of our vibrant community of small businesses. And I trust that you understand that we're taking this action not to punish you, but to protect local kids. Most of you honestly have already been valued partners to the town in working to protect local kids from the harms of nicotine addiction. And we are taking this step tonight, or I hope we'll take this step tonight, because our collective efforts up to this point have clearly not been enough. And I'll say, as a local small business owner myself, I know it can be hard to pivot and adapt to new regulations. And I want you all to know that your town council and your town staff are here to support you as you navigate, this coming transition. I want to say on cigars, I hear the comment from my friend Nick, and I really appreciate him sharing his personal experience. And I'm really happy to hear that it was easy for him to stop smoking cigars. But I do want to say I personally can't support an exemption for cigars for a number of reasons, including that I've got several people in my life who became addicted to nicotine by smoking cigars and who are still struggling to quit. So I want to see a uniform ordinance for all tobacco products. So with that, I would like to move to introduce the ordinance as written with one minor clarification, which is just that let me pull it up here. It's on, I think, Finding L, which is on, I believe, the first page of the proposed ordinance. Finding L, or excuse me, second page, I think, of the proposed ordinance. Finding L refers to products that are authorized by the FDA for tobacco cessation. The rest of the proposed ordinance talks about products that are approved for cessation. I think the difference, to my understanding, between FDA authorization and approval, FDA authorization refers to marketing. It's they're authorizing products to be marketed for cessation, but they're not necessarily approved because they haven't necessarily been scientifically proven to be effective at that cause. So I would just request that we change the word authorized in Finding L there on page 2, change that to approved to match the rest of the ordinance, and make sure that we're uniformly talking about only exempting products that are in fact approved by the FDA because they have been shown to be effective as cessation devices. And with that one proposed word change, I would like to move to introduce the ordinance.
Okay, well, can we, I'll hold your your motion, and we'll hear from the rest of the council. Wow, it was a year ago or a little bit more that the Marin Healthy Youth Partnership, Kelsey Fernandez right here, had some kids come in and do a presentation asking for us to protect them from these promotional pricing gimmicks. They didn't like the low price products because that's how their friends were buying them. And a year later, Tiburon Ross, this was the Marin Council of Mayors and council members. We held it here in Corte Madera, and we let the kids all sit up here on the dais, and they got strong and they got empowered. And I was so proud of them. And I think, were any of you the ones who were up here back then? Oh, so it's a whole nother team. Anyway, I'm so proud of the community for coming together behind these kids. I do think we should authorize it as it is, except I agree with Eli's point. I did hear that story about the difference between authorized versus approved. And for us, it's kind of a typo, but it actually could create some miscommunications to others and another loophole that we might not want to have. As far as the livelihood of the businesses. We do care about our businesses, but I would like to suggest, first of all, anyone whose livelihood is threatened by the loss of tobacco sales is selling too much tobacco to a community that only 1% of them are still smoking. I mean, where is all the, I don't know how you can make that much money off of so little tobacco sales. But most of all, I think in Marin County, you can find some really great bougie snacks or new healthy drinks or even some fresh produce, and go ahead and charge a lot because they got money. But I think you can come up with other products, and I'm hoping that your businesses will still do well without the nicotine and tobacco sales. As far as the question about whether or not local government should be stepping into this, I asked the caller, who else is doing it? That's where it has to start. These things, as Margaret Mead said, never doubt the power of a few people. Well, I say never doubt the power of a small town, because we're setting an example. We're the first town in the country, I understand, no, in Northern California, to actually ban tobacco in a place where it's actually sold. And that does make it harder because lives are affected, but the lives that are affected by this addiction that we have here, where kids in Marin are smoking and using nicotine at a much higher rate than our neighboring counties, really important. So no one else is going to step up. We have to do it. And I want to say that the December 31st date, I think, is fine, because the last time we talked about this, we realized that that's when the renewal of their tobacco sales would begin. So if we give them till March, they're gonna have to buy their license for the whole year. We're gonna get stuck with whatever coming back again. So they won't have to buy a new license. And I also really like December 31st because I think we could do something. They used to do a Kick It Day in Chicago. So everybody wants to quit smoking and improve their lives on New Year's Eve. So December 31st, last day. And I love the idea that we'll start
2027 clean. And then just a little quote I found today. When young people find the courage and the need to speak up, wise governments find the humility to listen. Thank you. All of you. Yay. Oh, and I'll second Eli's motion. Emotion.
I'll keep my comments a little bit shorter because I think that's okay. A lot has been said already. I think we're already aware of the public health issue, so I'm not going to go down that road. You guys, I'll say you guys students, you guys really helped me. I think earlier this year, you educated me on nicotine pouches, not using them, by the way, but what they were and how they're being used at school. And I think that really hit home with me. The way kids are using those at schools, it really hit home with me. To put this further in perspective, I checked with our town clerk, out of the 38 responses, 33 are in favor of a ban. Only 5 were against it. So I think that puts it in perspective also. I appreciate, again, the students showing up today. You do have a voice and you are being heard. That's a good thing. The bad news is since you're here, I have a feeling school starts and summer's almost over. So that may be a bad thing, but it's all good stuff. Just a couple other things is that, and I would agree, I think Councilmember Ravazio hit on this. As far as I know, Tiburon and Ross did do a ban, but they didn't have any retailers selling. So we're actually the first in the county. I'm not sure if we're the first in the state, but we're the first in the county. Northern California, we'll throw that in, to actually ban products. So hopefully this starts a movement in Marin County, because I believe Fairfax and the county have not banned, but they've increased the prices and that kind of stuff. And I believe Mill Valley's looking at a ban also. So hopefully that starts this motion. A couple of things for staff. I would like you to look into the thing about the enforcement on the delivery. I think Mayor Thomas may have hit that. If there's something we can do with zip codes, it seems that with technology, there should be something we can do. I don't want to do a thing where we ban them and all of a sudden these products are getting delivered to people. We need to figure out how to eliminate that. There's also an item in the staff report about reimbursing businesses, I believe for partial on the licenses part of it. I would agree to have the town manager look into that. I'm sorry, go ahead, Rebecca.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Casissa. Yes, I did include that in there. At the June 16th workshop, I was under the impression that the renewals of the state licenses were on the same cycle as our business licenses, which renew January 1st. But our $25 tobacco retailer license for the town renews January 1st. On the CDTFA website, it indicated that the state tobacco retailer license recently increased July 1st to $450 annually. So I believe it renews annually July 1st.
Oh, okay.
It may be that it depends on when a retailer applied for the license, but the website seemed to indicate that it renewed July 1st, which is why I suggested a reimbursement of a half a year of the $450 fee.
Okay, so I'm sorry, we would be potentially reimburse.
It was a proposal that I put in the staff report as an option.
Okay.
If a retailer applied, they could indicate when they renewed their license.
Okay, I'm okay with, by the way, us reimbursing businesses. And it sounds like there may be an application thing. I would just keep it very simple if we can. I'm sorry, Adam, what were you going to say?
Just, yeah, it would be great to get some direction on that from the council. If there's support for that, happy to look into that and implement.
Wondering if you could even offer an incentive where the sooner they get rid of the product, the more of their license you would reimburse, obviously, from whatever month they get rid of their inventory. That's where we help them out. I think, I don't know how the rest of you feel about that.
I would have to know how complicated that is.
I think we should just try, I know what you're saying, to speed up the timeline, but it just seems like to keep it simple for staff. It just seems like do a simple reimbursement, potentially with an application.
And I still think the December 31st date's a good one. I don't know about how the rest of you feel.
We might have to have two motions if we're going to talk about the date.
Right. And I was going to bring that up also with the timeline. I know we're looking at December 31st. I think extending to the second quarter is too long, but I don't know if there's something in between, like extending another 30 days or 60 days, just to get that out there. But again, that's probably more of a council discussion. But again, I'm all in support of this.
All right. Councilmember Andrews.
Yes, first, just about every public comment or letter I've received has been in favor of this prohibition, okay? My hesitation is that last spring, we passed an ordinance that severely curtailed the number of products our small businesses can carry. And I don't think we've seen the results of that, where we banned vaping and pouches. So, before we take the next step, let's see how the one we've taken already has affected it. I'm very concerned about the impact of this on small businesses because they don't have a lot of margin, so that if you lose 5% of your revenue stream, that can be the difference between making it and not making it. And I just think, we should be going slower rather than faster. And I have noticed that no one has shown me the economics of any of these small businesses. And, it's like, that's why I vote against it right now.
So I wrote down my thoughts because I know that for some people, this is just so simple and it's just a slam dunk that, cigarettes are bad. They cause a lot of damage, which I am very aware of, but it's just the way I think. I always want to see it, the whole picture. I had a professor in college who said, life is algebra. You have to always take into context all of the variables. So I'm just going to read what I wrote. The local outlets are not the reason the tobacco industry is so reviled. It was the industry which lied about the dangers of cigarettes, that glamorized their use, and kept finding new and targeted ways to increase adoption and addiction. It's very important that the local businesses are not treated as proxies for the manufacturers. They are just selling forms of the substance that has been legal in this country for hundreds of years. I believe we should give sellers of the tobacco consideration as we've given to other businesses in terms of time of enforcement for transitioning their product line. Now, I'm not suggesting the 2 years, as was the case in the elimination of plastic bags in SB 1053, but to allow time for sell-through and to reconfigure their spaces to connect with suppliers for whatever replacement products or fixtures they choose. I propose that the ordinance be enforceable no earlier than April 31st, 2027. And I know that, I work with kids. I love kids. I work in a school and I care about them deeply. But there's so many things that are very, very harmful to people. We are not looking to ban tomahawk steaks or pork chops or candy or, all these, obesity is a problem, but we're not doing that. And so I also think that the ordinance, that Councilmember Andrews mentioned that hasn't really gone into effect yet deserves, because we're never going to get to zero. Okay. You're never going to get to zero usage. But there's a certain discomfort I have with banning. I just feel concerned about what that opens up for other products. So I just want to put that out there. And I think I'm feeling too that I want young people to understand that that as you go through life, there are nuances, and it's really important to always look at them and think about the downstream things that might happen if we do this. I'm just wondering about what next. And so those are just things to think about as we look at our motions. So at the very least, I'd like to extend the date out so that the business owners have a chance to decide what they're going to put in that place, how they're going to reconfigure their stores or buy new fixtures or whatever. Okay?
So you're
I would.
you're seconding the motion, but with an
Oh,
amendment?
they
I seconded the motion, but
already.
let's take the date up separately. Can we just take the ordinance first as it is and then discuss the date, or does it all need to come together?
It's one document.
Let's
Yeah,
hear from
the
the
date is in
attorney.
it.
One document?
It is one document, Councilmember Ravazio. So this would be a change that requires a new first reading and would come back at a subsequent date.
Okay, so just one thing, Jim, we are not moving slowly. We just heard from the San Francisco Medical Examiner that they've been calling for the end of tobacco sales since 1984. Rosa, soda, steaks, they're not deadly. Science hasn't proven that they directly cause death like nothing else. So you guys, let's be brave. We're being awarded here for our courage. Let's make this a unanimous vote. Let's all get on the same page here. That's what would make history. And I think if you need to go a little bit later, I'll go along with, instead of December 31st, I'll go along with January 1st, 2027. Just kidding. If you need to, if you think everybody needs a couple more months, I'm okay with that.
Well,
So I have,
what I was going to say is so that we have not heard, well, I guess I can do this because I'm sitting in this chair. I don't have the information, like I think Council Member Andrews was saying too about the actual financials and also what is the sell through. I mean, I don't know. I think I used to remember somebody I knew, can't remember who, they kept their cigarettes in the refrigerator to keep them fresh. I mean, do they go stale? I mean, I don't even know.
But they're still going to be able to go to Greenbrae and get cigarettes. It's not like they're going to lose their access to cigarettes.
Oh, well, that's not what I'm worried about. What I'm asking about is for the sellers, I don't know what their sell-through time actually is.
It's August. It's August 4th. It's early. December 31st is a long way away. They sell this, they can offload their merchandise by selling it. They don't have to sell it through the store like they normally do. Who was explaining about that? Somebody had
no one's told me that.
If
they sell the inventory.
if I can,
It's not a big deal.
if I can,
Well,
go ahead, let Eli speak first. Go
Yes.
ahead.
Sure,
Yes.
thanks. I just wanted to make the point on timing. Look, you're right. We don't know what the sell-through time is for local. We don't know, of the X number of vendors in town that sell nicotine products, we don't know what their current inventory is or how long it takes each of these vendors to move through that level of inventory. But what we do know is that as Pat said, it's August now. End of December is months away, but more than that, right? This conversation has been going on publicly for months now, and I think even if we didn't know what the exact parameters were going to be, I think anybody who goes back and watches those public discussions, it's pretty clear that a majority of the council was moving in this direction. So this should not come, even a vote to introduce tonight, I don't think should come as a surprise to any of our local vendors, frankly. We've kept them abreast through every step of this process with direct notifications. I agree that we don't know what the sell-through time is, but I'll say for me personally, that piece of information is a nice to have, not a must have, in order to move forward with this policy.
All right then. So
there's a
sorry,
motion
you had
on the floor.
You're next.
Yeah, thanks. Just a couple things. I don't necessarily agree with the April 30th date. I think that's way out there. And I think for every month that we postpone this, it's putting our youth at risk for every month that we don't do the ban. That's the way I look at it. I could see, though, given that, going like 30 days out if we want to do another 30 days to give the businesses a little something, because Pat, let me.
we heard
Pat, Pat, I'm talking, okay? Be respectful of council when we're talking, okay?
But you're
And
not
the-
taking in the facts that the way this merchandise can be handled is through liquidating.
You've not been recognized. You've not been recognized.
I'm sorry.
Again, if there's an appetite for it, I could see extending it another 30 days just to give the businesses the opportunity to sell through. You're right. We don't know what the sell time through time is. I don't know what it is. I'm not even sure if the businesses know what it is. I'm just trying to be fair somewhat to the businesses so they can get rid of their inventory.
And also
again-
set up a new
Right.
merchant.
And again, I don't believe going out to April or even I think one of the comment letters that Adam mentioned had it to the second quarter. That's way too far out, but I could see giving another 30 days. And one other thing also in the staff report, HDL, is our consultant, they help with our sales tax revenue. They do all the analysis. They do have an approximation of, I think, taxable sales for that category back from 24, 25. They're never going to be able to nail it down to individual businesses. They can just do it on a high level, but that financial data is in there. But I thought I'd just get out the 30 days.
And I'll settle for 30 days out. That's fine. I'll go with Fred on that.
So just from a parliamentary procedural standpoint, the maker of the motion would have to agree to make this change. It sounds like Councilmember Ravazio's.
No, it's Eli. Eli made the motion.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm happy to amend the motion to extend the effective date of the prohibition out by another 30 days if Mayor Thomas would be amenable to that.
Yeah, it's just so hard. I'm I guess what you're trying to do is get to a unanimous vote. Is that what you
I would love unanimous vote. The only reason I didn't just mention Jim, I'm not trying to cut you out of this. I just thought I heard from you that you're not interested in the policy point blank. And if that's the case, then my attention turns to Mayor Thomas and what it would take to get her on board.
Okay. Well, this is one of those, things that sort of you have a principle, but it's like going against, but my principle doesn't seem to be the same thought process as what is popular. So
You could still take the 30 days and still vote the way you want to vote.
Yes.
You
You don't have to make it unanimous, Rosa.
It still gives you 30 additional.
I'm
30
not going to
days.
amend my motion to extend the date out by another 30 days if it doesn't get us any additional votes.
Yeah.
Politics at its finest.
So I believe we have a motion and a second.
yeah. So let's
What is it?
can you restate your motion? Oh, it has to be restated anyway because we're adding 30 days, right? So he's not? Oh.
So
Rosa, correct. Rosa, I want to make sure I understand your position. Are you on board if we extend by 30 days?
Yeah, okay. With a lot of under duress because I just.
Excuse me, Mayor Thomas, may I please ask a question?
Mhm.
Well,
If
let me
that
ask-
ordinance if that motion is made, may this be introduced with that change or would we?
No, it would have to come back.
Okay.
No.
It's a substantive change. It's going to have to come back for a new first reading because as it's written right now, it's December 31, 2026. So you're going to go to January 31, 2027, then we're going to have to come back at the next meeting for a new first reading.
Right, but it's
There's
still
another
by.
We can pass a motion to change the date separately. We just can pass the motion tonight and then next meeting, we can change the date. We can extend it. Let's get out there that it's December 31st. And then at our next meeting, we'll say, we're going to give you an extra 30 days. We'll look good.
However, there's another change
Eli,
as
let's
well.
do this. Come on.
You made a change too, Fred. There's change in the wording.
Eli, I think, made a change in the wording with respect
Yeah,
to.
that's right. There's a
That's
change.
just a typo, though. That's just a
Hold on,
typo.
let's hear from the town attorney,
Right.
please.
So the change in the date is a substantive change. Under Government Code 36934, that will have to come back for a new first reading. And then we'll have a subsequent second reading at a regular meeting 5 days later. So that's the rule.
And just for clarification, the changes that Eli made are I can't say that word, sorry.
The date,
Thank you.
correct.
Also, so it doesn't the 30 days, it's not just the 30 days, it's Eli's changes also.
No, the change about approved versus authorized, that's not a substantive change. That's
Okay.
a recital. But the date change, the effective of when is substantive.
Okay.
But it still gives the businesses 30 days extra because they would be put on notice now that this is coming back to us. High likelihood if it passes tonight, it's going to pass again when it comes back to us at our next meeting.
That is correct, Vice Mayor. The prescient observation, yes, there's an additional built-in 30 days now for this new first reading.
Right. Okay. Thanks.
Oh, go ahead.
I would really hate to see this night lose this momentum. We've got the media here. We've got the students here. I would like to suggest that we pass this motion as it is. Can I make that motion now?
There's a motion on the floor, isn't there, from Eli?
Even with the typo, we'll deal with it.
So Councilmember Ravazio, from a procedural standpoint, you can make a substitute motion.
Okay.
And that would be, right now, the motion on the table is with the, correct me if I'm wrong, Councilmember Beckman, it's a change to 30 days. So it would be January 31st, 2027 as the effective date. Councilmember Ravazio, my understanding is you want to make a substitute motion to keep the ordinance as it is.
I just want to make a motion that we can pass tonight. So if it needs to be December 31st in order for it to pass tonight, then I will accept that. I agree another month would be nice. I'd love to make Rosa happy, but I want to do it tonight. I don't want to have the news go out that we were going to do it, but then we had to change the date, and so we're going to come back and do it again. I mean, come on, guys, let's do this right.
So Councilmember Ravazio, that's a substitute motion that would require a second.
Thank you. Is there a second, Brad? Nobody? Okay, well, at least I made the motion. I tried.
I think that what needs to go out and what I'm happy to have go out to the public is that we were thoughtful. Not that we were hasty, that we had to do it quickly, but I do think that this matter deserves thoughtfulness. So.
Okay.
So could we just read back the motion so we're all on the same page, and I'll call for the question so we can get the vote? Thanks.
So the motion that I got was that we move to introduce the ordinance with a modification to change the word authorized to approve. And then it was amended. That motion was seconded by Councilmember Ravazio. Then that motion was amended to add the 30-day extension for the start of the ordinance.
Right, that's fine.
Changing
allowed
from
to do that
December 31st, 2026.
So that's direction to staff. That motion is an action of direction to staff to make that change, and it will come back at the September 1st meeting for a new first reading. So now staff has confirmed, we're going to change the first reading of the date to January 31st, 2027. You are not moving it tonight. The direction's been made. That's the vote. It'll come back for a new first reading September 1st with the change.
Okay, sounds good.
And importantly, we do need to get the word out now because we shouldn't make them wait a whole nother month before they even hear this is going on. So somehow, it's not fair to make them wait 30 days before they hear that we've basically approved this, right? Do we have agreement that with these changes, I'm sorry to act like the mayor, but sometimes It's something's
no,
got to
no.
be done to find out what everybody thinks.
I call for
If
the
we had
question, aren't
these
supposed to
two-
voting?
If we had these two changes, is everybody else okay with that? I
Well-
mean, I know Jim's going to vote no, but you're still in, right? If it's 30 days later, you're okay with that?
I don't think we should be polling council members on how they're going to vote. I just don't think we should be doing that.
If I may,
This is what, let's go, we're going, I think we need to call the vote.
I called for the question.
Yes,
Yeah,
let's do
I'm
it.
calling for the vote.
So we'll call the vote on what I just read that was clarified, that is now direction to staff. So Councilmember Andrews,
No,
Councilmember Beckman,
Yes.
Councilmember Ravazio,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Casissa,
Yes.
Mayor Thomas.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries.
great.
All right then. Thank you all for weathering that. And thank you for all coming.
And if I may, I mean,
Oh, well, it looks like you are. We're still here. Okay.
thank you. I think staff has clear direction. This is now set in motion to bring back the revised ordinance for council's consideration. And what we expect will be the introduction of the ordinance at the next meeting. So I don't see there's much, frankly, difference in proceeding with an introduction versus what we're doing now, other than the timeline for actual approval, which will not happen until the September at this meeting. It will be the September 16th, probably. I think the 15th. Sorry.
And you're okay with the direction on the reimbursement and the enforcement, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Got that too. Thank you,
Thanks.
council members.
Thank you.
Did you call for a break? Otherwise we're
Yeah.
right?
I'm going to call now for a 10-minute break. This is our second meeting of the night, and we have a third one after this. All right, then we are back. Thanks to everyone online who waited for our break. Now we're moving on to business item 6A, consideration and possible direction to staff regarding a proposed adjustment to the associate civil engineer classification salary range by 8%. Increasing the top step from $11,228 per month to $12,126 per month. And this is a 2-meeting process per council policy. And we will hear our report from Chris Good, Director of Public Works. I almost gave you a different title.
Thank you, Mayor Thomas and council. So just to give a little bit of background on this item, the Public Works Engineering team has been understaffed for a little over a year, and we're currently in the process of hiring several engineers. We were lucky enough to hire a new senior engineer who started last week, so that's a great start. And we have one other open position. We're looking for either an assistant or associate engineer. So in an effort to maximize recruitment and competitiveness, Chanel Seraldi with the Human Resources Department conducted a comprehensive base wage salary study for the 3 engineering classifications in Public Works. And those are assistant, associate, and senior engineer. As part of the study, Human Resources evaluated the job descriptions, internal salary relationships, and external market competitiveness, including to nearby agencies to ensure the town's compensation structure remains equitable and competitive. The wage study determined that the associate engineer salary range falls below the competitive market and is no longer aligned with the level of responsibility, technical expertise, and professional qualifications required for the classification. The associate engineer salary is proposed to be increased by 8%, which increases the monthly maximum salary from $11,228 to $12,126. This proposed adjustment to the associate engineer salary range will improve the town's market competitiveness while maintaining a balanced compensation structure. Approval of the proposed salary adjustment will strengthen the town's ability to recruit and retain experienced engineering professionals. So with that, we're hoping that you pass this, which will help us hire a new associate engineer. And if you have any questions, feel free.
Thank you, thank you. Do we have any questions here?
Just to clarify, this is not a new position, right? It's an existing position. You're just updating the salary part of it.
Correct. Yeah. Right now we don't have any associate engineers, but and we have one open position.
Okay, so we're not adding additional to staff. Okay.
Correct.
And then the salary is competitive within Marin?
Yes. Chanel looked at other agencies and compared our salary scale versus theirs. And so the 8% increase should bring us in line with other agencies.
Okay. And do you think you have a hard time recruiting for this position, or is it hard to say?
It's a little hard to say. The senior engineer actually was the hard one to recruit generally, because it requires a professional engineering license and there's a lot smaller pool. So we were lucky to find someone so quickly, actually. Assistant and associate, there's kind of a larger pool because it requires less experience. So we're hoping to have a lot of recruits, but we're still kind of in the beginning of that process.
Okay, thanks.
Just a quick question. So is the new senior engineer David Bracken?
No, it's our new senior engineer is Sarah Rahimi, but David Bracken is actually helping us right now as a temporary part-time hire. So
I remember Dave back when he was an engineer about your age, and he was a really good engineer. So
yeah, he has a lot of experience with the town, so it's great to have him back helping us.
So is there anything that can help you recruit better engineers? I mean, not that Bracken's not a great engineer, but a young, is there something stopping us from being able to recruit them?
I mean, because we just started the recruitment, it's hard to say. If we go through a round and can't find a candidate, then we would probably start asking those questions of what we can do to like.
So it hasn't been a year since you started looking.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
But for a year, you feel like you've been understaffed.
When I took over as interim public works director, I couldn't backfill my position. So that senior engineering position stayed empty until this year. And then our other senior engineer, Nick Cartagena, left like a month or two ago. So those are the two positions that we're trying to fill now.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
And I think I would just add to that, that this is a little bit tied to a change in some strategy. We've been recruiting really for 2 senior engineers since, as you said, like January of this year. And maybe even before that. And so the thought is that with, and I'll meant to talk a little bit about Sarah and Dave in my manager reports, but with Sarah on board now, this potentially opens it up for recruiting somebody maybe more mid-career with the goal of bringing them along and growing into the senior engineer role, so that you're not bringing somebody in really at the top step of senior necessarily. And then we've had some instances in the last couple of several years where, Nick, for example, and I think before that, Jake, we've had senior engineers that have been here and loved it here, but after a few, 2 to 3 years have moved on to other positions.
Thank you. Councilmember Andrews.
Yeah, I'm probably being nitpicky, but I'm looking at, you're saying that the top step for this particular position is currently 11,228. And when I look at item 4D, associate civil engineer, the top level is 11,565. And I'm just wondering, can we start getting these tables to mesh with one another? Or at least don't show them to me on the CK.
No, I hear you. I think the issue with that.
I'm still going to support this, but I'm just.
If I may, Councilmember Andrews, and I was actually looking at the same thing and referring to where this wages. I think, unfortunately, the issue was this one staff report was done before the 3% salary increases went into effect, and we didn't go back and change the staff report to reflect the increase. But it is correct in the salary schedule for 26, 27, and 4D.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Beckman, did you have any questions? Okay. I do not have any questions. I just hope you can find someone to fill a good person to fill that position. Do we have any public comment for this item? Anyone online?
We have a hand raised from David McPherson.
Right.
So, good evening again, Mayor and council members. I fully support this request. The due diligence has been done, and anything and everything the town council can do to encourage Public Works being able to secure employment for folks that will stay with us for 4, 6, 8 years. I mean, that is so terribly important. They become so valuable after a few years, and I hate to lose them. So let's raise the amount that's necessary to recruit the brightest and the best, and hopefully they'll lay down roots and we'll all benefit. And I just one additional comment. Watching the last discussion, I would just encourage council, town manager, town attorney to try and strictly stick with Rosenberg's rules of orders to kind of minimize kind of chaos, if you will, and to encourage better communication. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Duly noted.
Duly noted.
No other hands raised from our attendees online, and we didn't receive any emailed public comment for this item.
Thank you. So then I will close public comment on this item. Do we have any closing comments or a motion?
Do we need a motion? I can make the motion to approve the proposed adjustment to the Associate Civil Engineer classification, salary range by 8%, as noted in the staff report.
Okay, and just to clarify, we're taking that as action, staff direction, basically, because this is a 2-meeting process. So
Oh, that's right.
at the next meeting, we'll have a resolution that will be introduced to council for your consideration and adoption to approve this.
Can I table my motion to next meeting?
For 3 weeks.
You could withdraw it if
So-
you'd like.
So I'm okay with providing direction to staff to move forward with this.
All right, then, move on to our next item here. Receive and discuss the mid-year report on the status of the 2026 work plan. And, and our.
Hello, yes.
Hope will be doing that report.
Thank you, Mayor Thomas and council members. And Eli is back. Hello, Councilmember Beckman behind me. Apologies for that. But we have obviously Director Chris Good from Public Works, Rebecca Vaughn, Lorena Barrera, and then I believe we also have Amy Lyle joining us remotely, and just letting you know that Director Barry and also Petlock are out on vacation, so not here. But I raised that just because this is a team effort. We're, as you know, this is a work plan that was born from our strategic planning workshop held on January 23rd and ultimately approved by the town council on February 17th of this year. And so really this is a status report, mid-year status report. This is the second year we've done this, where we're checking in essentially with the town council on where things stand, where things are, and having taking any questions that you may have, but ultimately just wanting to provide a report out. You know, it's also allows for staff and the town council to discuss any adjustments to the work plan that may be really necessary and due to unforeseen circumstances or really urgent new priorities that may be necessary to address. And And so there have been some adjustments based on that criteria that staff has already included in here. And then in addition, it's also an opportunity for staff to reassess, is it really realistic to get through and accomplish some of the work plan items that were originally on the work plan, but may not be able to be completed by the end of the year. And as we just heard, part of that in Public Works is related to some of the vacancies that we've had. But just to note, so we've added a few items to the work plan. The first one is listed in the staff report on page 2, advanced compliance efforts with AB 1572, which was legislation that requires us to replace non-functional turf with low water use landscaping. And if that's currently being watered with potable water. And so this is something that we, frankly, one of the pieces of legislation we weren't aware we were going to have to grapple with this year. But the Department of Water Resources contacted MNWD, who then reached out to us and identified a couple of areas where there's some non-functional turf. One at the Corporation Yard on Lucky Drive. There's just 2 small areas there. And then in front of the Central Run Fire Authority station, which obviously is more the responsibility of the fire authority, but we will be involved in that effort as well. Second one is related to that we've added is related to the concerns that have been raised by a number of residents. And obviously we had a major or significant accident on Tamalpais Drive. So we've addressed pedestrian safety and vehicular speeding concerns along Tamalpais and Paradise Drives. And Chris has been working on some speed studies. We've had CMPA out there, and some follow-up efforts, I think, are shortly underway to actually put in place some infrastructure that is intended to improve safety at those areas. And Chris has been communicating with our residents on Tamalpais about that. And the last one that we added was this development of a public art policy to allow for temporary installations of public art on town property. Really, that's come through the Park and Rec Commission and will be intended to be presented to the council on September 1st. As I mentioned, some items have dropped out just due to capacity to get a couple of infrastructure projects. One constructed, the storm drain pump station short-term repairs, phase 2, item number 24. And on the design side, open channel maintenance project, item number 25, have fallen off the work plan. And then 2 have been moved from design to construction. And so I should say it's a portion of number 24 and a portion of number 25. The 2 that are moved from design to construction are the 2026 storm drain. I'm sorry, from construction phase to design, 2026 storm drain replacement project from item 24 to 25, and the Corte Madera Creek meter vault repairs from item number 48 to 49. And so that is really the substance of this status report on the work plan. And we have, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time. We're going to detail on any of the particular items that you see here or have questions about.
All right, then. Thank you very much. Do we have any questions about the report? Please go
first. High level question. Out of the 40 some odd items, I think for the town, forget SD2, only 10 have been completed. There's a whole, and again, I was trying to figure out the numbers, but some of them within one line item may have like 5 or 6 different tasks. Some would say complete, some would say in process. There's a whole bunch of these that say in process.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm just trying to figure out the realistic part of getting all this stuff completed. Again, when only 10, and then there's numerous others, some have not started. And again, there's a whole bunch that are yellow saying in process.
Yes, no, I think they're in process because we do expect them to be done by the end of the year. And so the notes there try to indicate where we are with related to accomplishing those items. So a lot of these in process, if not most of them, I certainly expect they will be turned to green and be complete by the end of the year, in December.
Okay. And then just a couple other specific ones. Number 4, which has to do with Lower Christmas Tree Hill, I think with PG&E. Can you give it, I know it's in here, can you give an update on that? Because that's been going on since 2023. And I think I heard a couple weeks or so ago, maybe a month or so ago, that Mill Valley, I think PG&E is undergrounding like 15 or 16 miles.
Yep.
In Mill Valley. And I think that project's supposed to start in 27. So I'm trying to figure out why this is taking, it's going to take like 6 years or so. And to me, that's a major evacuation route. It's the only evacuation route coming down that hill. It's a major concern.
Absolutely. No, I think there's all the difference between what's happening in Mill Valley, which is part of their 10,000 mile of undergrounding project that PG&E is doing throughout the state. They are selecting based on criteria that is frankly not always easy to understand exactly how they come up with where the priorities are. We've certainly advocated on our end for Christmas Tree Hill and Corte Madera as recently as last, I think it was last fall, when we supported PG&E's efforts to continue that program and highlighting our undergrounding study that was done for Christmas Tree Hill. So that's part of that program. What we're doing here is a more localized effort, which I think we have some good, real good news to report on, and I'll let Chris do that. But these are extremely long-term projects. And so I will say, this is the nature of undergrounding projects, and especially when you're combining it with complete streets and sewer rehabs, it takes many, many years. Yeah.
Yeah. Just to build off what Adam said, we've been in talks with PG&E since we started this project, like maybe a little over a year ago. It's a bit complicated because we have 20A funds that we're trying to use on this, which is basically funding that PG&E was required to set aside for a long time for towns and cities to use for undergrounding. When we originally approached PG&E to try and schedule the work, they told us it would be 2038. So that was like 13 years in the future. We pushed back a lot, and Adam and I have been kind of fighting for the town, and they were able to move us to the top of the list. And so now the undergrounding is planned for construction in 2029. So honestly, as far as speeds of PG&E goes, that's as the best we're going to get. So now we're working around that date with the other 2 projects, which is the sewer rehabilitation, which is going to come first prior to undergrounding, and then the Christmas Tree Hill evacuation and road resurfacing, which will come after PG&E undergrounds. So that's kind of our current planning, and unfortunate, the undergrounding controls the schedule for everything else. But we're going to try and get those projects kind of one after another.
Okay. So they're going to be in a mess for a while, project after project after project.
Yeah.
Okay. I just have a couple more. I think 35, which is the 4th of July. That committee, is that an ongoing committee, or was that a one-time thing?
Well, we just actually met on, I think it was last week, Mayor Thomas.
Was it Wednesday?
It was
Wednesday or Monday.
The days are mixing together here, but I think we met last Wednesday, Mayor Thomas, myself, Mayor Andre with Larkspur, and I think all at the
And Rebecca.
And of course, Rebecca and Tim was there as well.
Yeah.
But we did meet, and it was, I think, agreed that this was a successful committee in terms of supporting 4th of July efforts, and actually having council members from each of the town and city at the table to help support Julie's efforts. And so we do expect it to continue. I think we are planning either, I think it was late this year, reconvening, or beginning in January when planning really gets underway. But actually, I think that's what it was, unless there was some major shifts and changes. So, but as far as, I'm sorry, 34,
35, it's the 4th of July
It
parade.
says complete on it or no?
I think it does. I just couldn't tell again
Okay,
if
yes.
it was an ongoing committee.
Yeah,
And
we'll
that-
probably take it off next year because if it's ongoing, it just becomes sort of more.
Okay. And then that committee pretty much just provided support to Julie because Julie did most of the work, right? I mean, the work, right, on the 4th
Absolutely.
of July.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it was sort of, yes, it was sort of an effort to allow certain questions about the overall theme and sort of types of entries, trying to get other entries involved, maybe more local entries. So what's the theme this year, the 250th anniversary? And so I think it was worked pretty well. And so I think it was appreciated by Julie and also I think having a seat at the committee table, so to speak, by Mayor Thomas and Catherine Way was actually part of the committee this year.
Okay.
Was great.
And then I did have several people ask me if the town's taking over that parade. Is there any truth to that rumor?
Taking over the parade? No, I mean,
in other words, the town would be running the parade.
no, I'm not hearing that myself.
I've heard
We
that
certainly haven't done that. I think there's options on the table moving forward, but no, we haven't currently said anything to that nature and don't intend to. So.
Okay. And then just one last one on the first one, which is the chamber. What's going on with the chamber? Trying to figure out what we're going to do with them financially. Because I think that's been on there for like the last year and a half. And it just seems by now, I think December, when they brought the budget, I said I didn't want to be talking about this 6 months from now. And now it's 8 months. And I understand that you were meeting with them last year, you're meeting with them this year. So
We have really tried our best to provide support for their board and the executive director in terms of starting to plan for and considering options that would allow for them to be fiscally sustainable moving forward. So they're not coming every year with large amounts of requests to the council. All I could say is that process is underway. We've tried to meet with them. We've given suggestions. We've had several meetings that ultimately, I'll just say we need to have a level of support as well from the board and from the executive director on the chamber to engage on some of these ideas and creative efforts. We have some ideas that we're doing on our end. Obviously, we're working on the intergenerational center, but it's not something that myself as town manager, Amy Lyle's very much involved, can direct them to do. It needs to be a collaborative partnership to actually figure out creative solutions to fiscal sustainability for the chamber.
I would suggest you come back to us within the next 60 days and have something for us that we can discuss. Because I get the feeling like there's either a stalemate or there's something there, and this thing just seems like it's being dragged out. And I don't think it's fair to the chamber. And it's not, I think it's sending the wrong message to the business community. Because again, it's been on here for a year and a half. And if you need suggestions, I can sit down with you and give you suggestions. You don't have to bring in a consultant, but I think it needs to come to us so we can have a discussion to figure out what we need to do.
And we've had Mayor Thomas has been in a couple of these meetings as part of these discussions. So
I get that, but nothing's happening. I think I'm just getting frustrated because again, nothing's happening. And again, I'll say this again, I don't want to be sitting here another 6 months for you guys to try to figure it out. If you can't figure it out, let me know and I can help you. But I think it needs to come to council so at least we can open it up for discussion and there could be suggestions coming from us.
Okay.
Because there's got to be something that has to be done on this.
Okay, we can put that on, and if that's something that the council wants to have on a future agenda, we certainly can do that. And I'll also would request that the Chamber of Commerce attend that meeting as well.
That's it.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
I'm like, wait a minute. I thought we were.
By the numbers, starting with number 10 on your work plan list. Can I get a report or can we just get a write-up on what happens, what's going on with the county's Office of Emergency Management and how it's going to translate into what we're doing? I want the council to be informed about our emergency preparation work. And it sounds like it's ongoing. It says it's ongoing, but we haven't had a report. So either in writing or at a council meeting or, send me texts in the middle of the night. I just want to know what's going on.
I'm sorry, Adam, correct me if I'm wrong though, because I sit on District 3 OEM with Steve Torrance and then Dennis Rodani. There's about 15 people on that committee also. I think the county, the supervisors just approved their EOP plan. And I think they're now moving that down into towns and cities, correct? That towns can tweak it and adopt it.
Absolutely. And it's in the status of this item. County OEM adopted updated EOP in June. Town OEM kickoff meeting to update town EOP held. It was supposed to be held last week. It got rescheduled due to the traffic accident up in Novato. So we're meeting, I think, this week or early next week with Stephen Torrance. So ours is old and needs updated.
I just want to go through them quickly and make my requests, and you can get back to me later. You don't have to go into all detail right now. In number 11, it's talking about our emergency communications capabilities. And we've had many conversations about how smart cities are having either streaming or radio or something so that if there's a really big emergency, somebody, police chief, fire chief, whatever, can get on the radio and talk to people. And it's still not on the list anywhere to explore radio capabilities. I think you can do it through YouTube now. It's an easy thing to do, and you only take it on if there is an emergency that requires it. And if we had had it in the floods, people would have been able to get the information they need, because there could have been from central dispatch saying, here's the roads that are closed, here's the roads that are open, here's a great alternative route. And those things can't be communicated with Nixle or whatever. We need more in-depth communication. And you've got these great officers. I saw a wonderful guy present to our NRG for Chapman Park, one of your, I guess it was a fire officer, and he was so informative, and it was such a small group. And I was thinking, how do we, communicate better with our community, and especially in an emergency? And that's what I wanted to hear about from the thing. Okay, so I'll keep going. Number 32, sorry. Wait, I have it on my phone as well. 32, I wrote down too. Oh, 32, update building facility use with town civic organizations. So this is Lions and Women's Club and other community organizations that we want to work with. Is that correct? I know Tim Barry's not here, but maybe you can answer for that.
The specific, actually, do you know the specific organizations that are agreements that are being worked on? I think it's Lions, Women's Club, Lions. Okay, so those two at least.
Because there's been administrations at Parks and Rec that have previously tried to categorize those clubs as tenants. And it's really important. They kind of come with the building as the stewards of the building and the ones who actually built the building. The Corte Madera Lions Club built the community center in 1951, turned it over to the town eventually when they got tired and too old to run it. And so we should eventually go back and maybe, I don't know if you've gone back to look at that original agreement with the Lions, but they're supposed to have every Thursday in perpetuity and so forth. And they don't demand that anymore. They only meet twice a month, and the rec center is used by others on Thursdays. So I think they've been fairly gracious in sharing their time, but I just want to make sure that they're treated like steward organizations like they are, and not as just another tenant. Okay, cool. And then 37, I'm really excited for the holidays, and I can't believe we're doing lights at Menke Park. Is somebody working on that? Is that the chamber?
It would be the chamber.
Is the chamber doing the lights at Menke Park?
I think that
We haven't figured out who's doing this yet. So
Time to
we're
figure
actually
it
just
out.
exploring I mean, certainly we heard the council from last December talk about this. And so this is what we've been
Now's the time
looking
to
at.
figure it out.
We're looking at getting costs right now. We're
You
going to come
have
back
to
to
do it.
council with some options, but we're running into a lot of roadblocks with like power and other issues. So we'll hopefully have something in the next month to come back with.
Are you sure you don't want to just give it to the beautification committee and give them $1,000?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, I just think, you know, the community's out there ready to help on this, so don't be afraid to ask.
I think it's more with the power, actually, that where the power is and exists and how much power we have.
I thought they planned for more power because of the bans.
In some locations, but the company we're working with says they need outlets like at the trees themselves. So it's a whole ordeal to get power.
So they're asking for more power outlets out there?
Yeah.
I don't think they get to ask for that. I think you should tell them to just work with it.
We'll bring back something.
Yeah, you know, you can do something simple with, yeah. Don't let those little old ladies beat you guys up. Okay, one more here. Number 45, Menke Park. We've talked for a while about, you know, doing some real community outreach for planning for what comes next there. People are excited about Menke Park. The Community Foundation's planning their little grand opening party and stuff. But what's next? And we've talked about what's next for 4 years now. And the same thing, my final one is Park Madera Center. The Pet Club, I assume their lease hasn't been renewed, but it comes up next year, right? So I was thinking we would have been, you know, planning for a while to figure out what's next there. And I just am wondering if we can get going on that.
Post office?
I know you don't have any control over the post office. Jared Huffman gave me 20 minutes on the post office and he knows nothing. He can't even figure it out when he's our congressman. It's tough. The federal government dysfunction is really impressive.
Is that all you have?
Yes, that was my final one.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
Yeah, and you know, we'll get deeper into them. This is just sort of a list, you know, of little bullets. It looks like Councilman Beckman has his hand up. You may speak. Oh.
Sorry about that. It was hard to unmute on my phone. I had to switch my phone here. I just wanted to apologize. I'm going to have to drop off. So I just wanted to apologize to everybody. I'm hitting a wall here.
Okay.
Alrighty. Thank you.
Feel better.
Thank you.
Okay. Councilman Andrews.
Yeah, and this isn't on the list, but over on, I think it's Casa Buena, PG&E was supposed to move a gas line so that we could do something. Did that ever get moved, and did we ever do something?
That's another one that's in the works. Right now it's in PG&E's court. They're basically designing the gas transmission relocation. It's gotten pushed back. I believe now the construction's early next year. And then in our negotiations with them, they have agreed to basically complete all of our projects on their dime. So that's the good news, but it's going to take a little bit more time.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Are they working on the overcrossing yet?
That's also PG&E has to do their
Right,
gas
they have to
transmission.
move
so
their gas lines.
They haven't done it yet. They're designing both those projects concurrently.
Any way you can keep lighting a fire under them a little bit?
We're meeting with them, but it's always difficult.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, and so I guess it's down to me now. So the one of the things that I had was 1 and 41. So 1 is the chamber, and Councilmember Beckman had mentioned before, which I thought was an interesting idea, was with number 41, the economic strategic planning, if they could help us long range look at the viability and the return on investment, or, the value of the chamber, and how do we maximize that? Because they'll be doing research with our businesses as well. So they'll be interviewing them and et cetera, et cetera. So hopefully we can get some of their expertise pushed in the direction of our long-range planning for the chamber. And then, let's see, 44, evaluating major options for corridors to integrate new housing with appropriate services and infrastructure. That also, I would assume, is part of the economic strategic planning. So I guess what I'm looking at is that some things are sort of things that sort of fall under that. They're kind of in process if they are part of the economic strategic planning. So that would be number 1 and number 41. Number 1 and 44. Yeah.
I hear what you're
Maybe
saying, but I still think we need
Oh, yeah,
staff
short
needs to come
term.
back. So, yeah, because again, that project I think is a year away. And I don't know, and maybe you can provide this to us. I don't know in the scope of what they're doing, if there's anything specific on the chamber. So I don't know if you can find out what the deliverables are from them for the chamber, and then let us know so that we know what to expect a year from now. But we still need the short term.
Yes, exactly. And that is exactly what I mean. I think we get to ask the consultant what to look into. So I believe to a degree, we can say, we want you to include in your research, because they're going to be interviewing businesses. I think we all got an email from Amy Lyle saying that we should make suggestions of community leaders that they want, that this group needs to speak to. And so that would be members of the chamber, the different businesses. So they can help, because we want to hear from them. It's like, okay, how can the chamber help you? And then how can we help the chamber exist in order to help you? So those are basic. Oh, wait a minute. I did have one more. Was it? Oh, I think it was mentioned already that now that we have a public art policy, that will also inform number 36, which I believe was one of Fred's projects for the mural. So now we do have a process and a framework for how things can be art can be added. So like I'm saying, in that way, these things are sort of in process, but subsumed under another project. So that is all I have for that. And do we have any public comment online for this item?
A hand just went up for Roy Bird.
All right.
Yeah, good evening again. I just wanted to bring up the issue. I appreciate the work Adam's doing. And I'm concerned tonight, my focus is asking for the council to put that standing flood item on the agenda and keep it on there. And I'm really disappointed in the council because they didn't ask Adam anything about what the staff is doing. And Adam had come up with an idea when I spoke with him about a vendor fair, but none of you council members even cared about that. And that's going to have it, and it's being worked on by staff, and they're putting it together, and it looks like they have a good list coming together of vendors who have equipment that can provide short-term protection for flooding. And Jim is the only one in the council that has any interest in that. And he was good enough, one, to participate in the meeting of the flood control board, the prior one. I was there. We were the only two members that weren't board members. And my takeaway from the board members, they want to do a good job. The flood control board members want to do a good job, but they're not getting any council support that I can see or hear. They wanted to have actionable items. Well, I've presented the town council with a great piece of actionable items, and that is to have that standing item on the agenda for every meeting. It's a great conversation tool. Now, the other thing, my wife is in the hospital. She had to go to emergency. She hurt her hip. I had asked her to do a presentation at open time, but she had to go to emergency. She got admitted to a hospital. Complications from hip surgery or hip replacement. Excuse me. Oh, yeah, hip replacement. She fell in early January. I think it was on the January 6th when we were cleaning up from the flood. And she's one of those little old ladies that was referred to on the beautification committee. Very distasteful description of the people that are on the beautification committee, particularly when my wife has fallen and she still attended meetings, having to use a cane to get around. But she had a severe fall in January 25th that just set it up that she couldn't even walk. She spent 5 days in the hospital. This is a result of the flood. So I ask the council members to get more in tune and start looking very seriously at the flood. I'd say you have three responsibilities: financial responsibilities and solvency for the town, and then necessary services. And I think, Adam and the staff do a fine job. But the next thing is protection from flood. And we need long-term and short-term. So thank you for listening, but it's upsetting to me that it doesn't seem like the council's responsive to my request. And it's not a big request, but I think it will do a great deal of benefit to the town, to the flood control board. And I was going to and I heard the timer. I appreciate you listening. I will speak at the agenda item. I had a planned presentation. I'll put it together. But
Thank you.
please help the community out. Thank you.
Thank you. And I will just say that I had logged into the last flood board meeting. So
If I can, Mayor Thomas, I'd like to respond to that too, because I think it's a completely unfair characterization of our council members who are very invested and interested in flood matters and have asked me to report on this time and time again. And I'm happy to do, rather than an agenda item, I'm happy to continue to report out. I have a report out ready to go this evening as well on just where we are with flood response and the work that we're doing. And so I just wanted to say that our council members are very involved and we talk quite frequently about how to address flooding. So.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Anyone else online?
We didn't receive any other hands raised from our online attendees, and we didn't receive any emailed public comment for this item.
Okay. Councilmember Andrews, did you have something?
How did we disrespect the beautification committee?
Oh, I think there was, did you say? But it doesn't really matter. We didn't. It was just something that here.
They founded this,
Yeah.
they preceded incorporation as town.
Mhm.
In fact, we got incorporated because they beat on their husbands to do it.
Yeah, well, in lieu of that diamond ring, they got so that is, I believe, our let me bring up the regular meeting at the end of it here. All right, so we had the public comment. Okay, any closing comments from the council?
No, but before you get in reports, I'll make a motion to extend I'm 2 minutes early, or 3 minutes early, make a motion to extend our meeting half an hour.
Yes. Second.
Councilmember Andrews,
Yes.
Councilmember Beckman left, Councilmember Ravazio,
Yeah.
Vice Mayor Casissa.
Yes.
Mayor Thomas.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries.
Oh, that's sanitary board. I'm jumping ahead. All right. So now we'll go to reports. So I think that last time we decided that we would maybe flip them and see if there's anything that then our town manager will follow up on if there's anything from
That's how
the
you.
council that appears to need that. So, so I'll let council members go first.
Okay. 7/13 attended a Marin Transit Board meeting, just a couple of things there. Clipper 1 is out. Clipper 2, the next generation, is in. So, yeah, exciting news. It took like, I don't know how many months that was delayed. And the other thing, I think I brought this up before about mascots, which was a joint effort between Marin Sonoma, Golden Gate Transit. There was some preliminary data. It looks like that program is really successful. There's a lot of transfers on SMART, I guess, are up, and it's creating more transit efficiency. So that's a good thing. 7/16 attended Marin Wildfire Prevention Agency. Let me see if I can find my paper there. One thing there, and that is, sorry, I got to shuffle through. Fire Safe Marin, which does a lot of the educational, kind of like the educational arm, it's nonprofit for Marin Wildfire. They came out with a program called Fire Safe Academy. It's retrofitting for wildfire. So it's a 5-hour course for contractors. And it's free, and then they'll get a certificate. And it just gets in, again, different aspects when people are remodeling homes, they're adding how to do certain things that would be wildfire preventative. One other thing on MWP, Marin Wildfire, I'm just going to digress for a minute. I think about 2 or 3 weeks ago, there was a 1.5 acre fire up on Blythedale Ridge in Mill Valley. Just to put this in perspective, there was some vegetation management work that was done by Southern Marin Fire and also from Measure C money from Marin Wildfire. So some of these efforts that we're seeing on these shaded fuel breaks, we don't see them because they're not like next to a road or anything. But they are saying that partially helped that. And also, Marin County is very proactive when they get these fires. I think within 10 minutes, PG&E had one of their aircraft up, and they have their own control center out of San Ramon. CAL FIRE had a helicopter up. They had another aircraft up running intelligence, and they also had one that dumped, I want to say, fire retardant on part of that fire. And then Southern Marin Fire, the county, and Central Marin were all on the ground. So it's a true effort. And one of the Black Hawk helicopters from CAL FIRE, it was actually, I'm smiling because he knows this, it was actually refilling water in, I think, Lagoon number 1, correct? Yeah, they'd made 7 runs. Yeah, they made 7 runs. 3 of those were from there and the other 4 from Phoenix Lake. So I just want to get that out there because, again, it's effort when these things hit and they try to nip them as fast as they can. So just get that out there. And then just the last thing on 7/22, I may have the date wrong. We did a walkthrough of the intergenerational center. Still is under construction. I think it may have been a little bit earlier. Still is under construction. That was a couple of weeks or so ago. So hopefully it's moving along. But there is work being done there. And that same day also we had 2 intergenerational center meetings. One was to discuss paint color, believe it or not, and that still is ongoing. And the other one was to discuss negotiations with Tim and Adam and then Carla and then also Patty to try to figure out how can we do a collective effort if people want to donate money so it's not scattered. And that's all I have. Thanks.
Great. Busy. You want to go, Jim?
So the fire in Mill Valley, we got to watch the helicopter come over with its big, long red thing as it went down into the lagoon and then went back up again. It did it like 3 or 4 times. And then they moved over to Phoenix Lake to get more water. But at the NRG meeting, the Chapman Park NRG meeting, the Central Marin Fire guys came and told us how they took part in the fire. And it was just a great story. I guess they have this new, and everybody else probably knows this already, a type 3 ambulance, which is actually an off-road ambulance that they take like up into the woods to fight these fires. And the Central Marin Police really gave a great showing at the rec center. There was about, I don't know, 75 people there, and he stood up on stage and talked for a long time about what they're doing to get ready for a big fire on like Chapman Hill or Christmas Tree Hill. And of course, the big problem, which I hadn't really thought through, is as the fire trucks are trying to go up there to get to the fire, that's exactly when all the cars are coming down. So it's planning like, let's try to reserve this street for the fire vehicles and other vehicles go a different way if there's more than one way. And the NRGs were talking about how to route traffic. It was really, really smart. And the CM Fire just put on a good show. Everyone would have been proud to see these strapping young men in their uniforms. It was a proud moment.
Yes.
I attended the MCCMC Legislative Committee. There are lots of propositions going to be on the ballot this year. It's going to be really confusing. And we've been asked to petition Mike McGuire, anybody who's got, where's Eli? Come on, Eli, I'll have to read him separately. The ride share program, the bicycles that come out of the ferry building, Corte Madera and San Anselmo are next, and the funding is up. So if you just say support the funding for the expansion of the ride share program, it's called Redwood.
Yeah,
Redwood Ride Share.
Yeah.
They're considering it right now,
Mhm.
and that's it.
Great. I'm pulling mine from my phone because I didn't get them all written up. You want to go first? Okay. Okay. You're done. I know. Okay. I might not be remembering everything. So 714, I attended the county sea level rise study webinar, which was an overview of what the county has been studying for some months now to see how it is affecting our community and what to do. And there were talks there about these movable, impermanent barriers as well. On the 23rd, I had reached out to, and I'll send it to you all, to Stephen Torrance about emergency evacuation plans. And they are working on a plan right now that will replace the 2011 plan. But I'll send that all to you. It's a nice email because it's kind of what you were talking about. Yeah. So this encompasses everything: fire, flood, other earthquakes. And then I think I did say that yeah, that was the 23rd. And then on the 29th, we had the recap with the chamber with Julie Kritzberg about the parade and next steps for what we'll look into next year. And we are working on getting information. We need information from them to know how to best help them, but we'll talk about that. So anyway, that's what I have. And so now I will move it to our town manager.
Okay, thank you. I'll try to be quick. So on flooding and flood mitigation response, so a couple of things that we've talked about in the near term are underway. Paradise Drive Pump Station is currently being improved with a curb cut, and we've removed stuff out of one area of that property to allow for the creation of a new storage facility for sandbags and for other, I think, sand material potentially at that location. So it's going to be a new resource on the bay side of town, much closer than where we typically store things or have in the past, and are planning on really stocking up prior to winter and storing a lot of pre-packed sandbags in that location. And it'll allow for faster deployment as well. And let's see, this week we were coordinated with Chief Norton and Martin on the communications and messaging and what we're calling we're close to wrapping up that internal communications playbook. So we're all consistent in how we're messaging prior to, during, and after events. Survey work on the Marina Village flood berm, I believe, is underway. Chris, do you know if that's started or is
it's happening next week?
Next week. Yeah. Okay. So we have survey work next week. And obviously that's going to be supported by the grant we received for $125,000. And then we continue to work with the flood board members David Bell and Sachi Itagaki, and OEM as well on holding a flood mitigation vendor and information fair, which was mentioned. We've gotten a lot of comments. I know the council has gotten a lot of comments as well regarding just how successful the concerts at the town park have been. We've sort of created a problem of our own success here in that now everybody wants to hold the concerts down there, which is great. I think it's been a huge success, and this is what we were hoping to sort of experiment with and see what happened. But I understand now, of course, it's sort of like, how do we reprogram and re-envision what can happen at Menke versus what stays at Town Park? So we're going to be meeting, I think, sometimes in the next month with Foundation and Tim Barry and all those involved, just to sort of start to game plan around what that might look like next year. And how to keep the good times going. And I should say, consistent with that effort and within the same framework or idea around experimenting, we did get a request from a local vendor, Zinn's Wine Bar, to start through a special permit process to start selling wine at those events. And we approved that for at least August, just to try it, see how it works. And we'll get some information and feedback through that through August and see where we go from there as well. So I did want to mention, and Chris already touched on this, but I do want to we're very excited to bring, let me see if I have, I'll talk about, Dave Bracken, of course. It's really great that he's on a part-time and really a temporary basis, but really plugging a need and adding some additional capacity for working with Chris Good's team on project management related to the design and construction, mainly of our sewer and flood control infrastructure. I mean, it's obvious, but Dave brings a tremendous amount of knowledge and experience, having designed the town. It's always, when I started, it was always Dave Bracken designed the town's flood control system. So, I know he continually worked on that during the 80s and 90s. And so brings a tremendous amount of knowledge there. And obviously worked in various leadership positions with the town, including town engineer, director of public works, town manager. So importantly, also, though, his most recent employment was with the County of Marin, where he was involved with the Santa Venetia flood berm protection proposal, which obviously has some direct relationship to what we're trying to do at Marina Village as well. So I think that's could be some help there. And then Sarah, get her name right, Rahimi. Sarah Rahimi, she brings over 15 years of civil engineering experience with 8 years in consulting, and more recently, about 7.5 years at the East Bay Municipal Utility District, or East Bay MUD. And so she's worked on floodplain studies, storm drain master plans, pump station designs, levee feasibility studies, et cetera, pipeline design, and has a bachelor's and a master's degree from University of California, Davis in civil engineering. So we're really excited to bring Sarah on board as a senior civil engineer, and she's going to be a huge help for our public works team. And then finally, I did want to address Menke Park. We heard it tonight about shade trees. And so a couple of things there. One, I just want to confirm, we've looked back at what was presented to the council and approved by the council. And even at the last, I think we had a little committee meeting and subcommittee meeting. We followed the plans. Several trees were removed. Some were diseased and dying. One was already falling over, et cetera. So those, I think there were about 7 trees that were removed. We planted 2 really large 48-inch box trees that were installed. A lot of the existing shade trees remain, but I understand the request. Our personal recommendation is to let this grow at least one season so we can see the agapanthus grow, which they grow very fast. and also see the trees grow before expending additional resources to plant shade trees, which I think we estimate would cost probably about $3,000 to $4,000 to install each. And I have to say, I know it was a really part of what opens up. I think what we see now, and I don't know if this is shared by how many in the community, but the palm trees now from below are much more visible. There is still a lot of shade. I was there in the heat of the sun, or the highest point of the sun in the sky the other day, and there are plenty of places really still to sit in the shade. But it will grow in as well. And I still sort of would like to, that's our recommendation at this point, rather than spending some additional upwards of $8,000 to plant some additional trees, which may in 5 years provide too much shade for that area and people want more sun. So I'd like to really let this play out and see how it grows in before making significant decisions, although we are happy to walk through with any of the foundation and particular members and look at the
I promised the ladies I would pitch the trees to you, and we do recognize they were incorrect saying that it wasn't according to plan. You did put in the exact trees that were in the plan, but I think it's just that, people don't really read plans well, and they didn't understand that taking out 7 trees was going to cost them a lot of shade. And shade is getting to be more of a resource for people when they're at these, afternoon concerts. Everybody's looking for the shade. So I just think it would be a really nice gesture for the town to pony up $8,000. You're allowed to write that check now up to $100. And I would like to see the town, do something for the community, really answer them and do something nice. But maybe I'm alone on that. I don't know.
Oh, if someone was tangentially involved with Menke Park, as I recall, it was conceived as sort of a 2-stage process. We were going to finish out the current one, let it sort of settle or age a bit, and then phase 2 will be figuring out how to put additional greenery around the perimeters and elsewhere. So,
Okay.
we're probably a year or so ahead.
Yeah, so this
We
is
aren't
just
making a
reports
decision,
now.
we're talking.
Yeah, so but what I mean is, we don't want to get too deep into it before we're, actually talking about a plan.
And I will say one other thing, just on that, we did, one of the trees that was going to be removed was the magnolia tree, which we found during the actual excavation or construction was had a dedication plaque. And so that was moved. That was the planting of a new magnolia tree in a different location. So it's actually a loss of 6 trees, although that one's is relatively small at this point. But again, that will grow as well. So that was a change order that also added some cost as well. And so we've really maxed out the budget for the project at this point in time. So I'll just leave that for information for the council. And then if the council decides and they want to bring this back in a future agenda, that's up to the council to decide if they want to hear more about this.
All right. And that brings us to discussion of draft agenda for upcoming council meetings. So does anyone have anything they'd like to place on that?
Yes, once again, I'd like to put on the agenda the discussion of a new open space committee for the town
Okay.
at some point.
And if there are other, if
Can be
that's the only
later.
request, we could take them all together if there are other requests at this time.
I just have a suggestion instead of an actual item, if I can. For the first meeting of each month, under where it says town manager report, I like to see a bullet point that says flood efforts and another one that says intergenerational center. And I think this way we're getting regular updates. I don't think we need them every single meeting unless something major happens. But I think that kind of keeps it in our minds. And I think we just put the 2 bullet points there. It'll help remind you. And the intergenerational center, hopefully after the 4th quarter, it'll go away. But I think we do that. I think it'll serve as a placeholder.
I think that's great. Happy to do that. And then as far as agenda items, we do have a process as far in our rules and procedures that outlines, maybe Lorena can help, but it's essentially, I think it requires a motion from the council if there's a request by a council member to put something on the future agenda. And then we would need at least, in this case, 3 council members to support that, to put it on a future agenda item. I will say, for context, certainly we can bring information. We've done nothing on this at this point in time other than, understanding some of the efforts that have been done already by Councilmember Ravazio. This would be probably an informational item, I'm guessing. And so it would require staff to do some research, understand the parameters, meet with individuals perhaps before.
There's a man who founded the San Anselmo Open Space Commission who's very willing
know.
to come in and talk about what they did and why.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
as we've discussed before,
Yeah. Well,
I'm just bringing it up again because.
yeah, well, it may be something that we can get information about now, and then because as we looked at our our plan this year, we have a lot of things still to do, and I think that would take a lot of staff time to create the committee. But what we could do is get the information and then put it on the strategic plan for the upcoming year to develop it. That's my suggestion. Right. So, all right then. So with that, we will adjourn and move on to SD2. So let me bring up that one, which I think is over here. Okay. May I have roll call, please? Oh, I thought I did already. Call to order SD2 meeting of August 4th, 2026.
Okay, Board Member Andrews.
Yes.
Board Member Beckman is absent from this meeting. Board Member Ravazio.
Here.
Vice President Casissa.
Here.
President Thomas.
Here. All right, then. Salute the flag. Okay, so we have open time for the public. Members of the audience may speak on anything that is not on the agenda. You'll have 3 minutes. Do we have anyone online to speak?
Yeah, we have Roy Wolford.
All right.
Okay, good evening again. I had my hand raised for item number 8, and I wasn't recognized and I wasn't allowed to speak. I'll just say that is a violation of the Brown Act, because any item on the agenda, the town may not, the council may not comment on it, but the town is allowed, or the public should be allowed and must be allowed, because it's stated right at the beginning of the meeting that the public's allowed to comment on any item on the agenda. So how are we going to handle that?
You wanted to speak on item 8 of the last meeting? Hold on a second. Let's find out what he's asking. You wanted to speak on item 8 about the agenda?
Yes, the agenda items.
Okay.
I will.
Can we just take a pause and
Why
go
don't
back?
Excuse me? Yeah, go ahead.
No, okay. So am I going to speak on the item 8 or on the sanitary district? And there is one item on there that I had sent an email out for sanitary district. I'll just say, I'll send an email. You can on the item 8, and the town attorney can review it and see that you in fact violated Agenda 8. I'm not going to go beyond that. I'll just let you know that when the public wants to speak on any item on the agenda, they are supposed to be allowed to speak by the council.
Okay, I can
Is that
allow.
understood?
Now, I'm afraid I did not see your hand raised, so please go ahead and speak on item 8, which
No,
was.
I'll send you the email. You can deal with it, but it has to deal with, okay, so Brad, thank you very much for making the recommendation to put a standing item on the agenda for Adam. And I appreciate Adam speaking out and saying, I was unfair. I don't think I was unfair. I would just say it was a greatly held secret. Who knew that Adam and the council were constantly talking on the flood issues? So I will also send what I had prepared for item 8 to you, council members, and it'll also go to the town attorney. You can review it. But I'm disappointed up to this point because there hasn't been a lot of discussion related to the flooding issues. And that is a major issue. And it's both long-term and short-term that we have to look at. So right now we're in short-term mode, and that's what Adam and the staff are addressing. But we also need to have a parallel path for the long-term mode. And I don't see any discussion and activity related to that long-term issue of flooding. And what happens if we have another flood like we had this past January? Are we going to be prepared or better prepared short term to mitigate a lot of the impact that that tidal flooding caused? So that's my concern. I'm not here to pound the drum or anything else, but I just don't think I just don't get the sense of being heard until Fred. Interestingly enough, you had mentioned at the last meeting that you were proactive, and I was going to bring that up as an issue. And thank you. You were proactive. You heard what I was asking, and it's important that the town knows about it because you're just working in closed circles, and the communications and the information isn't getting out to the entire residency so that they can understand what's going on in the progress and what's being done, what's not being done, why it's not being done, because every day we miss in working toward the long-term solution just opens us up to the greater possibility that we're going to have some real serious damage. And I mentioned about my wife. I don't want anybody else to go through what she has gone through. It has been literally so painful for her. She has a hard time. She can't even walk right now, frankly. So anyway, I said I wanted to have her speak tonight. She wasn't able to because she wound up in the hospital. I don't want any sympathy notes. She doesn't want any sympathy notes. But please get the word out. Put that platform on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Give our best to Arlene.
Thank you.
So where were we?
We don't have any additional public comment.
Okay. All right. So now we move on to the consent calendar. The purpose of the consent calendar is to group together items which are routine or have been discussed previously and do not require further discussion. They will be approved in a single motion. Any member of the public may comment on the consent calendar. The district board, staff, or public may request removal of an item for discussion. Do we have anyone who would like to remove or discuss an item on the consent calendar?
I move we approve the consent calendar.
We have to open it up for public comment.
Right. Well,
Is
do
there
we have
anybody?
anyone with public
We
comment?
actually have 5 people online.
Right.
None of them have their hands raised.
And then have their hand raised. Okay. You read me? All right. So public comment is closed on consent calendar. May I have a motion, please?
I move we approve the consent calendar.
I'll second.
Board Member Andrews,
Yes.
Board Member Ravazio,
Yes.
Vice President Casissa.
Yes.
President Thomas.
Here. Yes.
Thank you. The motion carried.
That was it. All right, then, public hearings, we have none. Business item, 6A, discussion and possible action by the board president to appoint a board member to serve on the consolidation committee recently formed through the adoption of resolution 03-2026 and authorize the district manager to sign the Marin LAFCO cost-sharing agreement. We have a report from Director Chris Good.
Thank you. I will try to go through this quickly. So as you mentioned, during the April 21st district board meeting, the board approved resolution, I think it was 03-2026, authorizing the formation of a consolidation committee for the purpose of expanding a current agency or forming a new Central Marin wastewater district. So the next step in the consolidation study process is for the SC2 board to select a board member to be included on the consolidation committee. The board member will be required to attend infrequent meetings to receive reports from Marin LAFCO and JPA agency staff to provide feedback as the study progresses. I'm also requesting, as the district manager, authorization to sign the Marin LAFCO cost sharing agreement on behalf of SC2, which will allow Marin LAFCO to proceed with issuing a request for proposals in order to contract with a consultant for the study. Just as a reminder, this consolidation study will attempt to evaluate every facet involved in a potential consolidation of the 3 JPA districts, as well as CMSA. And we'll look at different alternatives for how a consolidation could be organized. Tasks 1 and 2 for the study listed in the scope are assessment of existing conditions and model the business cases. And the final deliverable of those would be a feasibility study. So at that time, only if the study indicates that consolidation is feasible and all the agencies can agree on a path forward, would we then proceed with creating some sort of plan for implementation, which is kind of what tasks 3 and 4 are for in the scope. So I just want to mention that because Roy had a comment on that portion of it. And then finally, just to touch on the fiscal impact, per the draft agreement, SC2 is responsible for 20% of the overall costs of the study, as well as for LAFCO's staff costs in initiating the study and holding meetings. So as of now, that amount is anticipated to be $40,000. That cost isn't currently included in SC2's budget. However, based on our current numbers, we have surplus budget available over the next several years to cover these costs. And this study is anticipated to span over at least 2 fiscal years, just based on the timing. So we should have no problem paying for that $40,000 share for SD2. So with that, I'll open it up to any questions.
All right. Shall we start with, yeah, that hand went up quickly. Councilmember Casissa.
Just a quick question. We're not committed to anything, correct? I just want to clarify that. This is just, they're exploring and studying to see if it's potentially feasible. Correct. So we're not committed.
Yeah, just a study to see if a consolidation would be feasible.
Okay, and it sounds like it's like a 2-year project, so it's out there.
Yes, yeah, it's going to be kind of a long effort.
Okay, and if you needed more money above the 40, I assume you would just come back to us and say you need another X amount of dollars?
Yes, we could return if it looks like it's going to be more than that. We'll know for sure when they go through the RFP process and we see what the cost proposals are.
All right, thanks.
Just a quick question. So is there a difference in pathway between setting up a new JPA versus joining existing organizations together? Is that something the consultant will look at, or what's your feeling about it?
I think we're open to kind of any combination of options. So they potentially could look into that. But I think the ultimate goal, and there was actually a recent grand jury, is that a lot of, and Marin LAFCO is kind of pushing for consolidation just for, the benefits of being more efficient, potentially lower rates for ratepayers and all that. So that's kind of the main goal we're looking at, but I think they are going to look at other options if that doesn't pan out.
Thank you. I'm sorry, not advocating anything, but they could also go the direction of what City of Cedarville did with CMSA, potentially.
Oh yes, yeah, an agreement to basically take over services. Yeah.
Okay.
What would happen if we just stepped back and said, San Rafael, you and Ross Valley, you merge, and then give us a call and let us know how it turned out?
The Twin Cities has done enough merging.
Yeah. When we get to the comment section, I've got some strong feelings about it, but.
All right. I'm going to open this up to public comment and questions. Do we have anyone?
I was waiting. We have Roy Wolford.
All righty then.
Okay, good evening again. I just want to thank you for Chris. It looks like you read my email. I appreciate it. And the details. And I put a lot of work effort into anytime I address the council, I've put a lot of work effort into it. So I'm trying to be helpful. Sometimes it may seem like it's overboard, but again, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank
We
you.
don't have any other hands raised from attendees online, nor the only emailed public comment we received was from Roy.
All right. Thank you. Yes. See that. All right, then. Then I am closing public comment. I'm bringing it back. Do we have any? Oh, you have a comment.
Basically, I think we should step back from this and just let San Rafael and Ross Valley sort it out. And once they successfully merge, we can look at how it will favor us. And then we can consider further consolidation. But given those two sharks, I know that what will probably happen if we get involved in this will be there'll be a big JPA study. They'll say, oh yeah, we got to revamp everything. Corte Madera, put on this harness. And then they'll take a vote and say, you're the tax donkey. Everybody else will get in the back of the carriage and we get to pull it. And so unless there's a compelling need within Corte Madera right now to do away with this SD2, I'd say we just stand back and let those two sharks fight it out, and we'll see what it looks like afterwards. In terms of merging, they're planning on putting in all sorts of high rises all over San Rafael. Where are they going to get the sewer infrastructure to support that? If we merge San Rafael with us, we're going to help pay for it. The same thing, I think, is going in with Ross Valley. So my reaction is just stand back and say, you two boys go at it. And
I got to second what Jim's saying there. I think that I don't want to interrupt, but I support his position for sure.
It wasn't very delicate, but that's.
Well, at least we know what you mean.
Yeah.
Can I comment? So, the great Bob Ravazio has always told me, if someone's pressing a consolidation on you, you should only do it if it's going to improve service and reduce costs. because there's too many unknowns, there's too much risk. So only if you get assurance that that's going to happen, do you want to go forward. So I'm serious when I say that we've been pretty good about consolidating all kinds of things. And I agree it would be maybe a wise move to take a pass on this one. Watch what happens, learn from it, serve as their consultant if they really need you. Sometimes I think Corte Madera has all the smarts and people come to us for our engineering or whatever. You got David Bracken now who's got creds doing berms up in Santa Venetia or whatever. So I'd go along with Jim and say, just stand back and watch and see what happens. And you got enough to do, don't you? Do you want to do it?
I mean, I guess just responding to both of those, my only concern is if we, step back and aren't involved, then we kind of lose our voice in the study. And, like we said, this is just a study. It's not committing us to anything. So, and at the outcome, we're going to have a feasibility study, and it's basically going to tell us, like, does it make sense for us? Is it going to benefit our ratepayers? What are the pros? What are the cons? So until we do that, we just won't know. And there's no guarantees that Ross Valley or San Rafael will move forward if we back out. We haven't discussed that option. The other thing is just responding to board member Andrew's comment. So when there's new developments, those developments are responsible for paying for capacity increases in the sewer. So the districts themselves aren't on the hook for that. So I just wanted to kind of correct that one. So, because we are also dealing with that as well with the new developments in town.
So I'm fine moving forward with this because I think I agree with some of the stuff Chris is saying. We don't know. We just don't know until they do the study. We're not committed to do anything. So if they came back saying, yeah, Corte Madera, you have to pay X amount of dollars more, we just go, we're not going to do it. We're not committed to do it. And then we keep talking merger. This may not necessarily be a merger. It could be a different avenue that they're going to look at. And I think you're right. I totally agree with you. If we come late to the table, that's when we're going to get hit. If we're at the table in the beginning, we have the voice so that we can sit there saying, this is what we want and this is what we want to do. But coming late, when you're the last ones in, you're going to get screwed. Somehow you're going to get screwed. If you have a seat at the table in the beginning, right? It's a lot easier to voice your
Or
opinion.
we aren't going to sit at the table at all.
Sounds like
Yeah,
Fred should be sitting at that table.
No, I would think not. But again,
my experience is that they start out with these studies, and then we have the usual turnover of council people and staff. And 8 years later, you definitely committed to it when you agreed to do this initial study and sign up for it immediately. And if you don't approve this, the world will end.
I mean, I'm
seen this.
It's true they have a destination. They know they're working towards a merger. They're not looking into whether it's a good idea or not.
I don't know because I've seen.
Hold on, everybody, this talking over each other.
Sorry.
This
was a good
This is, yeah, well, I don't think it's good for people who are listening in. I think we need to let one person speak at a time. All right. You may speak now.
Yeah, I've seen Ross Valley because I've been to some of the CMSA meetings and I went to one of the finance committee meetings. I've seen Ross Valley push back on stuff. So it's not, again, everybody has a voice. And again, I keep saying this, but we're not committed. And what I'd hate to see is we're not going to participate, and either the whole thing falls apart or Ross Valley does do something with San Rafael and CMSA. And then we find out later that if we gotten in earlier, we would have been better off. And how much staff time do you think you're looking at? Because this is like a 2-year process, right? So I don't see you spending hundreds of hours on it. I could be wrong though.
Yeah, I mean, it's there'll probably be like heavy lifts at certain portions, just providing data, but I think overall it's just going to be very spread out. Yeah, potentially it could be 2 to 3 years just for this study. So.
See, and if I'm reading, I don't know, Richard, if you had a chance to read this agreement or not, but if I'm reading it, like there's a term of agreement withdrawal, and basically it says that cost sharing party, which I assume we would be one of, we can withdraw anytime with notice. So, I mean, if we did this and we saw going down, again, I'm looking at the off ramps. We saw that we're going down this road and then all of a sudden there's something we don't like. We can just go, hey, we're out of this. So there's outs to it. It's not like we're in it permanently.
I feel it's a information gathering process. And even if we're like, we don't want to be in relationship with these guys, we're going to get information about ourselves as well. We're going to get information about our structure. And so those things are always valuable. So, so anyway, do we have?
I am with Jim, so I think we have a 2-2 tie.
We haven't taken a
on the
vote yet.
board.
I move we postpone it till the next time.
Yeah,
Eli's
I
around.
think so too.
Then what's that?
Let's talk about it when we have a quorum. I mean, a voting quorum. Because we're 2-2.
So, well, we're not
get
2-2
home.
because we haven't taken a
wanna
vote
get
yet.
done.
So two things. One thing is it sounds like, and I'll check with our town attorney, I guess, or just SD2 attorney. Can we table this till the next meeting? So we have so that Eli's here because Eli has more knowledge on this.
Yeah, he's the guy.
I would look to your staff just to confirm that that's okay from a response timeline. But I would say also, if that is the case, not to table it, but to continue it.
Okay.
I mean, it should be fine. The other two districts were going to their boards this month. And then I think Marin LAFCO was planning to as well, but I'd have to confirm with Marin LAFCO if they need us prior to that. I just know they can't move forward with the agreement until we have the consolidations can be set up.
So do we need a motion to continue? Or do we just give direction to staff?
You would just give direction to staff.
Okay, so I'm okay with continuing this till the next meeting.
So am I.
I am okay with continuing to the next meeting.
Can I just offer up one thing? So, because I want to make one clarification or point of information. Resolution 03-2026 approved by this board in April 20, I think it was April 21, does say essentially go forward with this study. Now we're bringing back essentially the money piece of it to be part of the cost sharing agreement to pay for the study. If ultimately the board wants to reverse course, I would take another look at this resolution and clarify what the board wants to do.
Right.
So we're already committed.
Well, we're not committed, but we said we would
Yes.
do it. We just
Do
need the
it. We had
price.
this
We
conversation
need
in
to
April.
pay, we need to pay for it. We need to pay the check.
I wasn't on the council then, so 2021? No, I got on.
No. April
This year.
21st.
Oh, April 21st of this year. I already voted for this.
Yeah.
Oh, was I?
Oh.
So given that, does that change either of your minds?
No,
No.
Okay, then,
remember April was when the Ross Valley paramedic thing got jammed through.
Yeah.
so
I
again,
agree. I
would,
agree that was.
I would suggest that
Okay.
we give direction to staff to continue this to the next meeting.
Yes. All right. So sorry to keep you up late for that.
Thank you. Appreciate the apology.
Okay, so let me make sure that, so do we have any, I think what I'm looking for is reports from ST2 board members. No reports from ST2 board members? Anything you want to add to the next agenda? No? All right then. We are long last adjourned.